Give me big old buckets of butter beer. Give me big old barrels of butter beer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butter beer.
Welcome to the Three Broomsticks. We invite you to pull up a chair, grab a butterbeer, and settle in for a hearty discussion about Harry Potter. I'm Sierra Obermark.
I'm Sam Williams. And we're all butt naked for this podcast. It's too hot. It's so hot, everybody. And oh, God. Okay, everybody is just too warm. Anyways, none of us are butt naked. We are all on camera for the first time in a long time that I can remember. This is fun. It's nice to see everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry that I bullied you into showing your faces.
It's okay. For those of you who are like, who is this bullier of Sam and how can I help her be wonderful and where can I send her money? This is Neha Khan, who is a dear friend of mine and a former colleague. Welcome to the podcast, Neha.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So what we do with guests, Neha, is that you tell us, A, what's your Hogwarts house? B, how did you find Harry Potter? C, what's your favorite book? And D, who's your favorite character and why is it Voldemort?
That was really a leading question, Sam. All right. So, yeah, my name is Neha. My Hogwarts house is Slytherin. Surprise. So one of my earliest memories is I'm 5 years old and the first movie I see is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone with my family. And I remember like my dad sitting next to me, and every year it would be kind of a tradition where I would see Harry Potter with my dad. And I specifically remember him after the third movie. He was like, that one was a good one. So like a man of taste. And then I picked up the books when I was 14 because I was like, well, I'm really into Twilight. I feel like I could read Harry Potter now.
You went in that direction. That's
yeah, well,
that hurts my heart.
Because no, I think like it was just the misogyny around me that was like, you're a girl and you can't read it. And then I was like, if I could read Twilight, I could read anything. My favorite book, I feel like, is a toss-up between 5th and 6th. I like 5th because I like Hermione, and I actually, like, when I was reading it for the first time, I hated the angst that Harry had, but now reading it back, I'm like, justified. I like, yes. I like the DA. I love Hermione in it. I like the Department of Mysteries, but I hate it when children have like the adults around them like failing them, and it like triggers me. So I hate that part of the 5th book. But the 6th book, that's why it's like a toss up, because the 6th book I feel like is just Hermione assassination. Like her character is just annihilated. She's so annoying with Ron. But I love the Harry of it all. I love the Harry and Ginny. I like a Voldemort backstory. I like Snape, and I like how Draco is a little bit more like a rounded character than like just like a bully who just says like mean things and like leaves. So yeah. And then my favorite character, it has to be Hermione, Tonks, and then Snape, probably.
Fascinating.
All of my personalities into one.
That's a wild combination, but it really tracks. I love it.
That really works. And it's a good thing that Snape is one of your favorite characters, because today, for episode number 43, we have gathered to discuss what if Severus Snape? Just what if about it? All the questions. Recommended reading all of the books.
The books.
Yeah.
I feel like that's logical for pretty much any of the episodes, but specifically since we will be going through what if he in this book did XYZ, it's probably going to be helpful if you have some sort of background.
This podcast is not for those who don't want spoilers of a series that's 20 years or older.
Yes.
No, we are spoiling everything. And like, we're getting into one of the biggest book reveals, series reveals, literature moments in the history of the English language. So come ye to the Prince's Tale and fell on the sword of spoilers. That's a weird sentence that made sense somehow. Ah, I'm a god. Okay, so But before we get started, a huge thank you to Carolina Oberlander. Thank you very much. Huge round of applause. Yes, Carolina bought us this round of drinks at the pub so that we may continue on and not fold into the wiles of a Dementor kiss of the soul of our podcast. Because that's what money is. Money is Dementors, and our podcast soul rests with the people who give us money. So thank you. None of that's true, but it's fun to say. If you would like to buy us a round at the pub and help us get away from the financial Dementors, please head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks. That's with the numeral 3. Patreon.com/3broomsticks to sign up. We're offering bonus content, chats with the hosts, and on-episode shoutouts to our patrons, including Sierra and I for Back to Hogwarts Day on September 1st launched the first 2 episodes of our Hogwarts Legacy playthrough, where we are on video commenting about the game. You'll have to meet our character, whose name is wonderful. He's a very attractive dude. He's got, I would argue, pink hair. Sierra, you would say...
Lilac. It's lilac hair.
So please make that distinction for us, viewers of that video. We also have the first episode of the D&D Harry Potter that we did on there. And we're going to be offering a special Christmas edition Meet the Hosts later for like a Giving Tuesday sort of thing. So if you have not yet bought us Patreon stuff, be thinking about for Giving Tuesday, giving to the podcast so we can keep the lights up and get rolling. We would really appreciate your help in keeping the lights on at the 3 Broomsticks so we can talk about Perry Hotter and the Loy Who Bived for a long time to come.
And in the spirit of that, let us offer a toast to the comments on episode 40. This episode was about Deathly Hallows chapter 22.
Oh, we were on that.
Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, that was you and me.
Yes.
And Christian.
We raise our glass to commenter Absent-Minded Raven, who said, "It occurred to me that rather than displaying a riddle, it would have been helpful if the snitch just opened when Harry first touched it to his mouth. Granted, he'd still need to know what the stone really was, but wouldn't it have helped the trio in their quest to be able to call up clever dead people like, oh, I don't know, APWB Dumbledore."
All-powerful wizard baby?
Yep, that's it. All-powerful wizard baby Dumbledore.
Fantastic. That is
all-powerful wizard baby.
Wait, it's his name.
Not
like
Albus
the third
Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore.
Sam is broken.
Oh my god, I didn't know it was his name.
Typical Slytherin. You know Phineas Nigella's black like that, but give you Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore, all-powerful wizard baby.
I don't know, I should have known his name just rolls off the tongue.
Oh, it really does. I mean, not even Michael Gambon could say it off the tongue. He was like, Albus Percival Wulfric, and then he takes a huge pause and goes, Brian, as if he's forgotten his line.
To be fair, Albus, Percival, Wulfric, and Dumbledore are all like in one category, and then there's Brian.
Brian! That's so true!
Brian for the normies.
I'm surprised Harry didn't name his son Albus Severus Wulfric Percival Brian Dumbledore Potter.
Yeah.
Okay, so to the actual point of Absent-Minded Raven, listen, when Harry rolls the stone, Albus doesn't show up. I'm not saying that Sirius and James and Lily wouldn't have been helpful, but it does, like, you can't just call up clever dead people. It's only the ones that he loves the most that show. It's not like he can, Resurrection Stone and be like, and show me Dumbledore, and he just rolls it, and like, the D20 spins, and all-powerful wizard baby on the dice, and then Dumbledore shoots out like a genie and goes, "What are your 3 wishes?"
I mean, I guess we would have to know a little bit more about the stone, because, like, Dumbledore is trying to call Ariana, and the second brother specifically wants the love of his life back.
Yeah.
And so that's who he gets. Harry just, like,
rolls D20 and gets 5 people.
Rolls it and gets 4 people.
Is it 4? Oh, it's 4 because it's Remus,
Yes.
not 5.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was
So
like,
he gets-
and Lily.
Yes, and Pettigrew shows up.
Pettigrew. Pettigrew's
Yeah,
hand.
it's like-
the hand that he put in it's just a thing. But it's Pettigrew's hand.
Oh, no. That's a whole new meaning to mage hand.
Or just the hand that choked out Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, but so I think we just don't have a ton of context as to, like, how it works. Like, obviously the wand is a wand, and obviously the cloak is a cloak, but in terms of the stone,
I know, resurrection is like,
It's-
now what now?
yeah, exactly. So I think it would be interesting, because we don't get any sort of, like, a thought process from Harry on if he is specifically thinking about those people that he wants to have with him at the end. Because at this point, there's also plenty of other people, like, that he may or may not have wanted around him. So,
Mad
like,
Eye.
if he was not, yeah, like, if he was not, like, specifically focusing on them, what's the limit? Like, could he just have, like, 10?
And how come Hedwig
10,
wasn't there? I
20?
feel like Hedwig should have been there.
Oh.
Does it not count for animals?
That would have been so sweet.
Sierra,
Maybe it doesn't work for animals.
I didn't do it this time. Look at that.
I know, but she's bringing him back.
I know, that's
bringing
true.
her back, not killing her off. There's a running joke that he has to bring up that
I do.
Hedwig dies to me every episode.
Time. Every time we're on
I
an
Make
episode
it
together.
horrible.
Listen, like Fred, okay, fine. I hate it, but fine. But you don't have to go for Hedwig. Like, that was so, you know what I mean? Why did
She could've
Hedwig have
just
to
hung out
die?
at
She's
Hogwarts.
a bright white bird.
She could have hung
She
out
could've
at
followed him
Hogwarts.
around.
She could have hung out at the Burrow. She could have done plenty. She could have hung out somewhere else. She could have gone on an extended vacation. She and Pig. Where's Pig? Pig's probably at the Burrow. Why can't she hang out with Pig?
I also feel like Hedwig is she's so like, what is it? She's so like attitudey, like with Harry, like throughout. Like, this is the one time that she decides to, like, help him out,
And it
and
just,
she gets killed.
this is why owls don't help. This is why you don't do this. I imagine that Pig is much like the Ewoks in episode 6, where one of them gets blasted and the other one is just kind of like by its dead body, cradling it and trying to make it come back. That's what Pig is doing. All of book 7 is just hanging out with Hedwig, trying to give Hedwig a proper burial.
Well, see now you did it. Now you did it. Now you made it depressing again. How dare you?
Oh my god!
Every time.
Every time.
Every
time.
So anyway, we don't know what the rules of the stone are. So I think that that's probably, yeah, definitely key. And also, to Absent-Minded Raven's point, he would need to know what the stone was, because can you imagine he opens the snitch that first time and, like, out pops the stone that I think is still in the ring setting, isn't it not?
Yeah, it is.
So it's still in the ring setting. And so he'd be like, okay, but didn't we already kill this one? I mean, he'd probably keep it with him anyway. And I guess he would, he'd probably keep it with him anyway, because he has, like, his whole pocket in his bag that has, like, all the important things in it. I can imagine him keeping it in there with, you know, the mirror shard and whatnot. But so I guess at some point he would be able to figure out, oh, that's probably what that was. And also at that point, I think his whole mad scientist theory of, like, the ring is the stone.
Eureka,
and whatever.
I've got it.
Like,
It's
he
in
would
the
have
snitch.
like tangible proof.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably have helped him in that scenario. So I guess, yeah, I mean, yeah, he would have to know what the stone was eventually, but he wouldn't necessarily need to know it right off the bat, because I don't think that he'd just be like, no, we already did this one and check it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that's an interesting point, though, that would things have played out any differently had he been able to open the snitch earlier? And I feel like no. I feel like it would end up being, although one thing I will say, Harry is very obsessed with bringing people back. Yeah. And so if he figured it out and had it, he would have tried it right then.
Absolutely. I also think, I do think it also would have slowed Harry down. That's the only, I think you still get the same outcomes, but I think it slows Harry down. Even with the amount of help that he might get, like, we don't know what the echoes are really capable of. How much they can converge, what they remember, all that sort of stuff, or if they're just the essence of emotions. Like, do they have actual knowledge? I don't know. And like,
they seem to have some sort of knowledge of like what is happening.
That
currently.
is true, but is that because it's just an echo of within Harry's memory and best projections? Like, is that how the Resurrection Stone works, or is it actually like the afterlife exists, we can call them back through this Resurrection Stone, and the afterlife can see what you're doing?
I mean, I think that it's that, because in The Tale of the Three Brothers, she wants to leave because she's living a half-life, and she doesn't, like, basically it's like the dead need to stay dead type of a situation. So he doesn't want her to leave, so it can't be a projection of his thoughts for her to want to go back to the afterlife, basically.
Totally.
That's my thought.
Totally. So
I think it's definitely an interesting situation. And in terms of like slowing him down, I mean, that was kind of the point of the whole Hallows situation anyway. Which a lot of that is also mentioned in the comments on this episode. Irvin has some really great insights. So check those out if you haven't already. But
speaking of our main point today, I think it's a really good thing that Snape did not get a hold of the Resurrection Stone, because I imagine that he would just throw away all of his duties to talk to Lily forever.
Just all the time. Yeah.
And then what if Harry got it, and then in the end, like, she doesn't show up because she's just like, I'm so tired. Like, I've just talked to Snape for so long.
Harry, send me back.
I've already been here.
Apparently.
And James is like, Lily, I haven't seen you in so long.
And Lily's like, apparently you've been an awful student, Harry. I am so disappointed. I hope you do die. I hope Voldemort kills you.
Oh, no. That would be awful. No, she wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's so Lily-coded. She's so...
persuaded. I mean, Snape's a persuasive man.
Yeah, she's so persuaded by Snape all the time.
All the time. Persuaded. That's why they're best friends forever.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, pretty much Snape. I think this episode could be alternately titled, What If Snape Wasn't Awful to Children? I feel like a lot of our sub-questions kind of fall under that category.
Listen.
And I wrote just kidding, but also for real, though.
No, listen, I have to say it. Like, I just think if my bully had a kid, that kid. Like, I don't care. Like, if my bully stole the love of my life and had a kid, that kid.
But it's not just Harry. He's a monster to many other children.
You don't know if Frank Longbottom wasn't torturing Snape as an adolescent. He had two major bullies. We just never saw Frank Longbottom out there.
Didn't they? I'm pretty sure they graduated significantly before.
Also, maybe Trevor's mom bit Snape before Snape pickled it for some potions ingredients, and
Sam,
that's why Snape
we all
wanted
have
to poison
different
Trevor.
pedagogical styles. Okay.
Fine. Teacher Neha. Cool. Great. Yeah. Is your pedagogy f him up?
It's called building character, Sam.
You're the people from Holes. Dig holes and build character. Oh my god. Snape is...
Well, that's too damn bad!
Snape is legitimately a monster at different times. The comment to Hermione with her teeth, I mean, speaking of your favorite character now, like, Hermione has buck teeth, sure. Emma Watson wore them for a scene, and then Christopher Columbus was like, no, this is too hard. So imagine being the real Hermione Granger, the real, very alive Hermione Granger, who has buck teeth. Like, and then whatever, Draco hits her with the furunculus, I think it is, and she grows them real big, and then they're like, look, Malfoy hit Hermione, and Snape is like, I see no difference.
Yeah.
And that is a monster comment.
That's bad. It's bad. I will say, I also hate the know-it-all. No, I'm just kidding.
So
as a teacher, we're really diving into all the categories of no children.
So you're telling me now that you are a proud upholder of the perpetuation of hate between generations.
No, I just think it's normal to have feelings, Sam. Sorry you're not in touch with yours.
I use comedy as a mask.
And I use insults. What's the difference? They're both funny.
I mean, Snape is my like sub question for this is like, what if Dumbledore actually fired Snape for his obnoxious toxic behavior? Like, the Hermione comment's really bad. I think there's only really one like actual fireable offense, because Dumbledore as an administrator does not do any actual administration. Like, there's no observations, there's no teaching, coaching, there's no anything. Like, Dolores Umbridge is the only person who like brings in sort of that side, and it's awful. But Dumbledore could have done it very well. Like, it's not good that Hermione has to go and write lesson plans for Hagrid. But so, like, Snape should be on a personal performance plan or whatever those are called. But, like, the fact that he actually threatens and is going to poison, and actually poisons, or wants to poison Trevor, where he's having Neville make this concoction and saying, if you make this shrinking solution, Neville, great, it'll just be a tadpole. But if you do it wrong, Trevor will be poisoned. That is fireable. You cannot use a student's pet as a means of learning lessons. Moody should have been fired. Barty Crouch Jr. should have been fired, and Snape should have been fired.
To be fair, he loses that like toad all the time. Like, how much does he really care about that toad? First of all,
okay.
You're
second of all, why is he bringing the toad into the classroom? That was his.
Because he loses it. Because of what exactly you just said. He loses all the time, so he has to keep an eye on it. Who are you, George Weasley to Ron? Scabbers was eaten by Crookshanks. You fucking hated him anyways. Patrick, sorry for all the swears. Neha just brings it out of me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I also think if Dumbledore was to go to Snape and he's like, listen, your behavior with students is just a little weird, I feel like he could be like, pot kettle, dude. Like, aren't you raising Harry to die? Also, like, don't you hire all of these horrible teachers to, like, around these children who shouldn't be around children? So, like, I don't know where's the HR? Because if you're calling it on me, I will call it on you, sir.
That's actually a fabulous point. It's like, hey, Snape, your behavior has to be better. Coral? He had Voldemort on the back of his head and you hired him a second time. Lockhart, you knew he was modifying people's memory and he almost f***ed up your chosen one. Harry almost was a witless, gitless boy.
Don't even get me started on the hate speech that you just allow.
You allow people to say mudblood all the time. What leg do you have to say? Okay, actually, now that's a fabulous point, and I rescind my Snape should have been fired, because Dumbledore should clearly not be in charge. Dumbledore should just run his Order of the Phoenix and like have his little loony moments at the school, and McGonagall should really be in charge.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of is.
as best she can. Yeah. There's no way Dumbledore would ever have fired Snape for a lot of different reasons. But what if he wasn't a monster? That'd be great. It would have made life a lot easier.
Yeah, I will say, like, I did put it in, but I just think we just never see him like a little bit soft, and I wish that we could have. I wish like there was one moment where Harry they were in like together or whatever, and Harry did something that reminded him of Lily, and I wonder how that would shift how he saw Harry.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What would that have done?
That's such a good point, because he's so constantly focused on how Harry is like James, and you would we'll get into a whole like discussion on the relationship with Lily and everything when we get to Prince's Tale, but like Harry can't 100% be James except for his eyes. Like he's got to have something else, especially living with Lily's family or Lily's sister at the very least.
Yeah.
There is no way that Petunia and Lily don't have any common mannerisms or like turns of phrase or something that Harry would have picked up on at some point over the first 11 years of his life, and then every summer. Like there has to be some part of Lily that if Snape truly loved her, he would be able to like he would be looking for those moments in Harry instead of just being blinded by the James resemblance.
And Dumbledore does say that in like the Prince's Tale. He's like, no, he actually like I've been spending much time with him, and he's kind of like Lily more.
He's a lot more like Lily than James. It's just that Snape can't get past the child of the love of my life looks exactly like the man that I've hated more than anybody on this planet.
Who bullied me. Also, like, speaking of, why is James literally the Malfoy of, like...
Of the Snape tale?
Like, he's literally, from the get-go, just horrible to Snape for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's because he's ugly. Which brings us to our next question. What if Snape was good looking?
Yeah, this man needs some pretty privilege in his life, okay? He needs a shower, and he needs just a tad bit more money because he's like the way that he's described as is like greasy, oily, and then his like clothes are really funny, and then when he gets like hung upside down, he has like graying underwear. Poor guy. I just think he just needs a little bit of like on top of a shower and like new clothes, just like if he was just conventionally more attractive, like I think that would like change. I don't even think he would get bullied like right away, and I think like Lily would have like been more keen on him. Maybe
even more interested. Maybe had a fling or two.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know that far, but I definitely think, I mean, he wouldn't have been teased as much for sure. Because when you're that young, like bullying starts at the simplest level. And so like what you look like, what your name is, what you're like, if anybody knows anything about your family or whatever. That's like what we see even. And that like,
you must be a
Draco
Weasley.
Picks up on.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, red hair,
hand-me-down
robes, or red hair and more children than they can afford, depending on which version we're going with. But like, it's the same thing. It's whatever they look like and whatever they know about their family.
Your name's Snape. It sounds like grape. You're Grape Boy for like 2 years now.
Yeah. So, I mean...
That came so easily to you. Were you a bully?
No, it's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke where they called Charles Boyle Mr. Grape for like 2 years because he wore a purple suit to work one day or something like that.
That's funny.
I also was, you know this, Neha, I was absolutely bullied as a child.
No, I said, were you the bullier?
Oh, yeah, 100% no, not at all.
Just to me,
could not have been in my nature. Yeah. I became a bully as an adult. That's why I became a high school teacher, so I could be Severus Snape to children.
See, you're just like, I was just going to say that. I was like, you're more aligned with Snape than you think.
Open your books to page 394. Yeah. We don't even have books. Open them.
But I also think like as an adult, I think the way that, his peers and also like the students would look at him if he was conventionally attractive or like refer to him would be a lot better because the amount of times I just see like greasy as and like oily and like a spider like with Snape associated with him. Yeah.
I think it speaks to who he is as a character, though. I think Snape could easily, with magic, look much more kempt all the time. Like the level of like beauty, hardness. Like I feel like Hermione at one point is like, oh, it just takes too much work to like make my hair go good, and it's like, what are you talking about? You guys have magic. I'm sure there's spells to just like do what it takes men and women an hour to do in the morning to look great. Like it just a flick of the wand and you're good. But it speaks to Snape's character that no matter how much he's been bullied over, like it feels like he takes it on as either he's just too busy and unbothered and does not care for the conventions of beauty standards, or he kind of wears it as a badge of honor that this is who he is. And I think if he, even if he cleans himself up or if he looks a little bit more, that fundamentally might change his character in a way that like that what if changes everything in the way that we're going to go over like a lot of different things. Like, I don't think he becomes a Death Eater. He might not even be a Slytherin. He might have a much more wholesome view with his parents. His father might like him. His parents might be getting along better because, you know, maybe they're arguing a lot about, like, there's all sorts of stuff that changes just off of beauty privilege here.
Yeah. I also think it might be a manifestation of like his insecurities, like that he just cannot like groom himself. Because, you know what I mean? But I think that, man, if you really like Lily, like, I don't know, take a shower, dude. Like, that was step one, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Step one. Especially because she obviously takes care of her hair really well for everyone to be like, oh my God, her red hair.
Yeah.
So, what if Snape was good looking? Total change. Absolute heartthrob. Yeah. But maybe he becomes Gaston. Maybe he's even a worse villain.
Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to rack my brains and think about other characters that are described as like oily or greasy or things like that. They're all like Borgin at Borgin and Burke's and like,
yeah.
And people kind of that nature are all. Yeah. And so it almost, I don't know, there's almost like a subconscious thing where that's not like an attractive quality for someone to be greasy, but also like I kind of wonder if the more they dabble in dark arts, the like
fascinating, it has a physical effect
it
on
like
them.
Has an outward effect.
That's an interesting thought. Well, maybe as potions master, because of all the chemicals he's around and stuff, it literally is affecting him in a magical way,
possibly. And I mean, he's constantly in like a humid room.
Although Slughorn is like Mr. Pomp and Proper, so that doesn't really work with Sluggy Bug.
I also think like if we look at like Tom, right? Like Tom Riddle, like everybody was so like one of the initial reasons why people were so taken by him is because he was like a good looking dude. You know, you're more likely to be persuaded just if you're conventionally attractive. People will listen to you more. People will be like, oh, look at him. I want to listen to him.
It's kind of crazy.
Well, and then the more he starts splitting his soul, the less like himself he looks.
Yeah.
So obviously that's like a drastic example of dark magic working on an outward appearance, but like I have to imagine that has an effect, because I'm just thinking of like the only Death Eaters who are still kind of like described somewhat attractively, I'd argue, is the Malfoys.
Yeah.
Like Lucius and Narcissa seem to still be like very...
Draco is also still...
Is it the money? I'm not ugly, I'm just poor.
I wonder if, I don't know how they would have done that, if it's like a genes thing or if it's that they weren't quite as bad. Maybe that's a sign that they weren't quite as bad as all the rest of them, or something like that. But that is an interesting theory.
But Sierra, to your point though, like, do you think like Snape created like Sectum Sempra and it was like, all right, that's it, you're too dark, you can never wash your hair again?
It's interesting too, because Neha and I were talking about this actually earlier today. Rowling sort of leans into physical archetypes and stereotypes, like, oh, hey, I'm trying to set up this bad guy here. All right, so we're going to make them not the norm. Vernon, he's super fat. Petunia, really long neck, nosy, bony experience.
Quirrell has a turban.
Yeah, Quirrell has a turban. Oh, God.
I'm South Asian, by the way.
For those of you on the podcast that don't know. So, and then there's Snape. He's like a greasy bat, like, and then in the first book in Sorcerers, he's described as having a goatee, like, which is like a little sort of like doob.
But what is facial hair considered like a?
By some people, I mean, in the United
trait?
States, right? Like, in the United States, it's been ages and ages and ages since somebody ran with facial hair as president.
That's true.
Are you checking me on goatee, Sierra?
I want to see this full description. I believe you, but I also like cannot recollect. This
Sam, you don't like textual evidence?
Pause on the podcast. Opening up Sorcerer's Stone. Do a search. Goatee. Boom. Ready for this? Yeah.
No. Hey. Wait.
Oh my God!
I've got a physical copy. Don't judge me for
no. I'm 100%
looking.
wrong. You don't need to look. It's Karkaroff that has the goatee.
Boom.
Sam is a liar.
Huh. I was like, I don't remember this at all. Okay. The description is greasy black hair, hooked nose, and sallow skin.
Crazy. Wait, is he drawn with a goatee in that chapter?
Why is a hooked nose considered bad? I love a hooked nose. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like she also added that because it's like kind of ethnic and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like the hooked nose is like not, or like not conventionally attractive. Like no one is like, you know.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's clear that there is a bit of like the otherness outside of like being sort of the prototypical 90s UK citizen, which you're like thinking about as like a white middle class citizen. The otherness is definitely put forward as a problem in Sorcerer's Stone specifically, right? Hook nose, Severus, turban wearing, Quirrell, and then we get that more and more as we go along. But she kind of like then changes very quickly in Chamber, where it's like, Mr. Good-looking, suave, blonde, white, Gilderoy Lockhart, let me come and get you. I'm a big celebrity. I've won Witch Weekly 5 times running with my smile. Ka-ting!
You do a great Gilderoy.
They should cast me in the next movie. Oh my God. Can you imagine this portly 5'6" American just being like, I'm as good as Kenneth Branagh.
I love it.
Here you go. If they ever did an animated,
yeah, I could do the voice thing. Great. You have a face for animation, Sam.
I feel that that's like my entire soul. Okay, there is a reason we're on a podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
And not
YouTube.
A visual media.
Speak for yourselves. I'm just kidding.
You're a guest. They don't. They would be a treat.
The night's still young for you, Neha. You can do any visual medium. I told you.
The more podcasting you do,
Sierra and I are butt naked on this podcast.
For video,
it's like dark arts. Like the more podcasting you do, the uglier you get.
Okay. Moving on to Sorcerer's Stone. We've made it to the beginning of the series, guys. We're only 44 minutes into the podcast. All right. The first one's a big deal, y'all. So we're gonna discuss this for a little bit. What if, instead of judging Harry for being James's son, for looking like James, for being the harbinger of everything that was wrong with Snape's childhood, Snape gave Harry a chance and treated him like a normal child?
That would be so boring. And Harry's like whole Hogwarts like career would be just peaches and cream, and he needs a little bit of a challenge. And I like that Snape provides that for him.
Neha Propoline, got it?
Look at you rolling your eyes. Listen, so sorry that I don't agree with you all the time.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It makes it good for podcast material, but I'll never speak to you again. Okay. No, I mean, obviously for like the story, it's a very important thing. Like Harry, you need conflict in stories. The conflict between Harry and Snape and never really understanding, is he friend or foe? And then they literally run that as an advertising campaign right before Deathly Hallows came out. It's really good for the story. This is an excellent, one of the best parts of Harry Potter is the Snape bit. But it is interesting to think about Severus Snape learning a bit more of Harry, showing the softer side. If we got Severus Snape, the Half-Blood Prince textbook as a teacher, right? Hermione does really well because she's able to follow all of the instructions, and then she gets worse when Slughorn becomes. So we see that Snape is being the Half-Blood Prince in a way, but not in a way that's accessible to everybody. And I think if the indication of Snape treating Harry like a child would also show that he's better capable as a teacher, and that the potions education in general would be much better for everybody and not just Slytherin house. As much as I know that you want your house to do well.
I think like I would have liked it if he gradually came to be like softer instead of like right off the bat, because I think it is just like natural for us to be like a kind of a like, obviously as professional teachers, Sam, you and I will never ever be like shitty to a kid just internally, but I think that like initially like I'm fine with him being like mean to Harry.
Right. From a character standpoint, you like, just so that Neha and I don't get fired, we do not condone any of Snape's actual actions as if they were in real life. However,
no.
For the purposes of the story, having him be like, our new celebrity is awesome.
I think like if we saw him like slowly grow to care for him, like I think that would have been like, I like that as a what if, then like right off the bat him being like nice to Harry, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's not in character for Snape to be nice to anyone, let alone his bullies / like,
except for Malfoy and co.
Yeah, but Malfoy's just a Nepo baby, and like Snape is also just a Slytherin, and he's like, how do I get my, like, he probably has a transactional relationship with the Malfoy. They're like funding his little apothecary.
They're like the only people who invite him over for dinner, and he's like, gotta be nice to the kid.
Yeah. Or what if like Snape is his like godfather? That would be interesting.
That's in many a fanfic.
I know.
That's the case. For those of you who don't know, that's in many a fanfic.
I don't know.
I may or may not be on like Hermione 87.
Oh, does Neha have much to tell you later while we plug some stuff, Sierra? It'll be exciting.
It'll be great.
I think it's a boring what if, but I think it changes the course of Harry's life completely if Snape is kind in any way, shape, or form, or even neutral.
If he treated him kind, and then I think he would have grown to care for him, and I think that would have changed his whole relationship with Dumbledore as well, like Snape and Dumbledore, because he's already really irritated with Dumbledore.
Totally.
You know?
And I also, the big thing here, and we'll get to this when we get to Order of the Phoenix, but like, it's important that Harry does not like Snape. We'll get why. Like, I have big reasons as to why it's important, but we'll get there. So I think it's actually very good that Harry does not like Snape.
Yes. Just on the Godfather situation, there's no textual evidence or anything, but there is a rumor or interview somewhere where Tom Felton revealed that J.K. Rowling told him that Snape is his godfather.
Well, then I believe Tom Felton. So no longer headcanon.
That is apparently a thing. I cannot find an official anything, but that seems to be the apocryphal story, is that J.K. Rowling told Tom Felton.
You heard it here second, folks.
Wait, Sam, what was that thing? It was like, well, how would we know?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, Sierra, if you remember this for the Star Wars Patreon that we did, there was, what is it called? Rise of Skywalker was a very panned movie for a great deal number of reasons, and Star Wars, the, like, official Twitter page put out, did you know on Exegol, which is the Sith planet, that, like, the Sith cultists have been there for centuries making, like, a whole fleet ready to go, which is not textually at all anywhere in the movie. And of all people, Elijah Wood, who famously played Frodo Baggins for everyone who doesn't know, in The Lord of the Rings, like big fandom guy, Elijah Wood retweeted that saying, no, how would we know? Which is why that was a category for that Patreon bit, that like, how would we know? How would you know? This is absolutely... Tom Felton said that J.K. Rowling at one point told him that Snape was his godfather. Did you know that? No. How would we know?
I think there's only one, besides just like him generally favoring Malfoy and friends in particular, other than the fact that they're Slytherins. I think the only contextual evidence that we would have is that Narcissa goes to Snape for help.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing we have. However, there's flaws in that logic as well, because
Snape's his
the only
favorite
one
teacher. He's the only one at Hogwarts. There's so much stuff.
So there's plenty of other things, but like, I wouldn't be shocked. That would not surprise me. And I definitely like subscribe to that theory because it makes logical sense retroactively. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of holes in that story.
I mean, it's sort of like and I say this very carefully. It's sort of, if we were to create a category for like, it retroactively makes sense. That would be like the Dumbledore is gay category, where it's like, oh yeah. Sure. But like, could you have told us in the text?
Right. Yeah.
But I think
if you want it to be there, like, make it explicit,
please.
Like clear.
I also think like if he was his godfather, like I think he should have had a way better like influence on Draco. I feel so sorry. Why are you letting him say mudblood? Don't you hate that? Like you literally are like nipping it in the bud with Phineas Nigellus in your office, but like you're like, yeah, Draco, go for it. Like I don't get it.
Absolutely. Oh man. Moving on to our last Sorcerer's Stone.
That's character growth.
Moving on to our, oh my gosh, you're right though. If like, especially if his biggest regret is, so I'm like canceling myself, moving on to the next topic. If his biggest regret in life is calling Lily a mudblood, then like, why the hell are you letting your godson go around being like, Grange is a mudblood? That's Draco's voice.
No, I'm saying,
clearly.
and like, I'll speak more on this when we go to the prince, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on to our last Sorcerer's Stone question. What if Severus Snape didn't hide that he was trying to save Harry at the Hufflepuff versus Gryffindor Quidditch match?
I don't know. Snape doesn't owe anyone shit. No, I'm kidding. This is just me being like the devil's advocate, like for no reason.
I love it.
No, it's
honestly.
great.
This is amazing.
It's good for it's good for everything.
No, because then we wouldn't see Hermione be like setting him on fire.
Setting a teacher on fire?
Well, maybe if it was clearer that he was helping Harry, maybe they could have cottoned on to Quirrell a little bit earlier.
That's true.
Well, we know that Snape is saving him, so who else is also muttering under their breath the entire time?
Maybe it's the guy whose back of the head just sneezed and then he said it was a fart.
But also, that was the first time that you kind of see Quirrell doing like another expression other than like that when he's like muttering the spell.
In the movie, like just you know what? Nobody can see the video on a podcast.
Oh yeah, so sorry.
Sorry for ever. That was a very poor podcasting moment by me. I would say I would counter that question with like, but like, what if Snape was way smarter about trying to save Harry? There's like really no reason that Snape needs to go and referee a sport that it seems like he doesn't know much of, and that
he'd be like 20 points to Slytherin. They're not playing.
They're not playing. What do you? And like I feel like he's more distracted. Like he's riding a broom trying to referee a game. Like he's looking at all different places. He doesn't have his wand out because can you imagine if the referee was just like holding his loaded wand, like just pointing at Harry the whole time, just behind his back, trying to track where the Gryffindor seeker is? Like, I feel like he should just be in the stands. That's crazy. Also, Dumbledore showed up. He doesn't have to go. Like Quirrell said, he's like, Dumbledore showed up, so I couldn't dare do anything with him. Right.
I think other than that, the only other reaction really to him reffing the next game would have been maybe he would have had a little bit less bludgers tossed his way. Because it's like, okay, he still would have had some because he's still very disliked, but Fred and George wouldn't have been quite so salty with him if it was clear that he had like saved Harry in the last match.
Totally. I do like the idea of Fred and George just hitting bludgers into the teacher's box to try and hit Snape.
Oops.
Oh, sorry, mishit. For the 12th time? Yeah, you got it. I don't know. Those are our Sorcerer's Stones. I mean, the other Sorcerer's Stone question that I can think of is, what if Snape actually managed to convince Quirrell not to steal? Which I feel like would mean, what if Snape found out that Voldemort's on the back of Quirrell's head and tried to kill him?
Oof. Yeah.
And that is a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if he's so close to Quirrell, and this is me, I don't know, like it's partly like movie influence, partly like book influence, but you know, when he's like suspicious on Quirrell, and even like Dumbledore's like keep an eye on Quirrell, like shouldn't his like dark mark be like tingly because he's like near Voldemort?
No, because it's about how close. So it seems like the dark mark returning is weirdly in the same magic realms as a prophecy, because it gets darker and darker the closer Voldemort gets to actually returning. So it seems like this dark now, unless maybe, I mean, it's all kind of from Harry's third person limited, so maybe it is growing stronger at any given time whenever Voldemort hatches a plan, but we get no evidence for that. So it seems like the dark mark, because it's growing darker and darker the further along we get into Goblet of Fire, it's actually indicating that this plan has a chance to a much better chance to work, or not, is going to work. It's weird magic in that way. And so it doesn't seem like Snape, every time he passes Quirrell's like, my arm, God, why?
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to be like, I think like my whole what if, it's not like about having anything to do with Harry, but it's more just like, why can't you be better as like a teacher and you know, figure out that your staff member is like fucking weird and like I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good question. Why not? Huh? Snape, what happened? Moving on to Chamber of Secrets. Sierra, I think this is your question, right?
Yes.
You got it.
Okay. So, having come off of Chamber of Secrets Whomping Willow episode that just came out, what if Snape had actually managed to convince Dumbledore and McGonagall to expel Ron and Harry?
I think this would have included the Imperious Curse. Like, that's the only way in actual genuineness, this would mean that Snape had broken somehow in his mind where he's like, you know what? I like basically Lily, and I hate James too much to let his son live, because expelling Ron is whatever in terms of like the grand plan. Like Dumbledore probably flirted with it just for fun. Be like, I wonder what happened if I just expelled Ron. But to expel Harry would be a death sentence essentially. Like you're not teaching him magic, or like do Durmstrang folks take in expelled Hogwartsian students? Like, are we sending him to Wagadu?
I think listen, Snape was just in a silly, goofy mood putting that up for proposition. I also think that was right after where like Harry and Ron are looking in like they're trying to see like the window panes of like the Great Hall, and they don't see Snape, and they get really excited, and they're like, oh my God, where's Snape? Maybe he got sacked, or maybe this, and he's like right behind them waiting for them to
or maybe he's wondering.
Like a dramatic person, so obviously he's gonna propose like, I don't know, do you want to expel him? Like, what if?
So then on the flip side, what if Snape was actually a concerned professor a little bit and reacted more like McGonagall to their unusual arrival, instead of immediately being like, you caused irreparable damage to a very valuable Whomping Willow. And it's like, they were
maybe
almost
that was
killed.
his initial plan, and then he heard them talking shit, and I was like, no.
That's so funny. It's really funny how Snape sort of, like, he hates James so much that even the Whomping Willow, which was involved in his almost death prank with Sirius and Lupin and James way back when, that he's like, a tree that he probably hates just because he looks at it and goes, James saved me from this tree. He probably is like, hates that tree more than anything except for James. And so he's like, you caused irreparable damage to the most precious being on the planet. This plant life is more important than all the Gringotts gold in the whole world. Like, he just
I like how he has like empathy for the Whomping Willow, but like Trevor,
not one bit. Not one bit. I also like it. I also think if Snape started questioning, so let's say Snape reacts and is much more like, why did you guys show up so late? I feel like he gets the truth about Dobby out of Harry really quickly, because he's still going to be very Snape about it. Super scary, right? And so I wonder if...
But he doesn't know that it's Dobby yet.
Oh...
That's after Lockhart removes his bones and he's in the hospital.
Listen, what if, you know what? Like, the biggest what if is what if, like, Snape just performed legilimency, like, all the damn time. Like, so much time would be saved. Like, I just...
That doesn't seem like an invasion.
I'm not bothering with your rights. Legilimens.
Listen, Sam, you and I both know students don't have rights and they're in the school building.
I feel like using legilimens on people, Sierra, you can speak to this, would be like being an iPhone assistant at the Apple store where you're just like, that's so many nudes on that phone. Like, I just don't need to see
Oh my god, to teenage boys?
Yeah.
Ugh. No, thank you.
Sierra used to work for an Apple store and has many stories of elderly nudes.
Of nudes? Crazy.
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. Well, the crazy thing's happening with my phone. Okay, ma'am. Can you just close that, please? I'm just going to scroll right on by that one. My favorite, though, the very, very brief story from the Apple store. My favorite one was this older woman, well, like middle-aged, I guess, probably, had told her family that she was going to be in the Apple store, and her son sent her, like, scandalous photos so that they would purposefully pop up while she was in her appointment to embarrass her, which was pretty hilarious because her other sons were standing right next to her, too. So it was like... they were all just dying laughing. That one was pretty funny. She was embarrassed, but also
amused. Everybody had
humor. She was amused by it. She's like, I'm going to kill him.
That's so great. Anyways, yeah, no, I feel like for Snape's own safety, he can't use legilimens. Although it's very clear in the text when you know that he is both an accomplished occlumency and legilimens, that there are definitely moments like when Harry is slinging mud at Malfoy, and that's not a euphemism. That literally happens in the text. When he's slinging mud at Malfoy, and then he trips Goyle, and his head gets down, like pops out of the, and he has to run all the way back. And there's like a moment where Snape is like, "Can anyone corroborate that you were in Gryffindor Tower?" And Harry doesn't say anything, and he's like, I gotcha. He doesn't say that, but like there's definitely moments where you can see that he uses legilimens, but it's like you still have to have proof. It's not like you could submit a report being like, used legilimens on student, very guilty.
Listen, I feel like if Dumbledore had a problem, he'd be like, I have a job. Like, I don't get it. Like, this is why you keep me around.
Snape benefits from like the most serious tenure I've ever seen. Dumbledore's like, can't fire him, might join the dark side again. Dark side tenure. Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, later on in Chamber, we have some more questions. So, about the dueling club.
Yes.
What if Snape just killed Lockhart?
He would be so hated by...
That's my like half joking question.
I think Molly
or just
Weasley
incapacitated.
Molly Weasley would have popped into the dueling club minutes later and gone, "Not my Lockhart, you bitch."
Oh my god. It's like, you know how Hermione kind of defends Snape, like, she's like, but what, or like, what if, like, oh, I never thought, like, a teacher, or like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, immediately, she's like, no, remember when he killed Lockhart?
Oh my god, remember when he killed my love? Remember when he killed the man that I love with all my heart? His favorite color is lilac, and he's dead.
His lilac robes. Yes. Oh, man. Okay, or better question, I suppose, that wouldn't get him immediately ostracized.
That what if it's just like Azkaban? He's just Azkaban. He gets broken out with the Death Eaters in a Goblet in Order of the Phoenix, and he's got tons of intel.
We'll get there. We will get there. What if he taught the kids more in spite of Lockhart's failings. He didn't just leave it directly to Lockhart to be doing that. I was rereading this section and he says basically nothing the entire time.
Yeah.
He makes one comment saying, perhaps we should be teaching them how to block
unfriendly curses.
In the movie it's block unfriendly spells. I think it's phrased differently in the book. Yeah. But he says that, and then he says, Weasley's wand causes causes devastation with the simplest of spells or something like that.
You'll be sending Potter back in a matchbox, yeah.
So, other than that, he doesn't really do anything except for like whatever he whispers in Draco's ear. So like, it's like unhelpful.
What he whispers in Draco's ear is turn his hair red. Make his lashes longer. See if he can make him look like his mom.
Oh god, that's so creepy.
I think that Snape really had a missed opportunity to really, really, really embarrass Lockhart, and it would have been if he actually taught like the kids more.
Oh yeah. There is he's there to like the whole point of Snape being there is to make Lockhart embarrassed and uncomfortable and all that sort of stuff. But Neha, you and I both know that the most embarrassing thing is to have somebody else come in that you hate and do a way better job at teaching than you. It would be horrible.
Oh my god. And then especially if all the kids were like, oh my god, we like so-and-so better.
Yeah, wow, Snape was way better than Lockhart. That's crazy.
Yeah. They're like, oh my god, Lockhart made Snape look like a really great teacher. We want Snape crazy.
Yeah, for real.
I'm amending my previous statement. He didn't even say I should teach you how to block unfriendly spells. That's Lockhart.
Lockhart says that, yeah.
Lockhart says that. So he doesn't help at all. He sneers and he does nothing. And then he says Longbottom causes devastation with the simplest spells. We'll be sending what's left of Finch Fletchley to the hospital wing in a matchbox.
Oh, fascinating.
Longbottom catching these strays left and right.
And then volunteers Malfoy and Potter.
Frank was a big bully. Listen, he bullied Snape so hard. It's just all off page.
Stop. Maybe Snape just is I was going to say racist. Maybe he's just like a
Longbottomist.
He hates northern people. Like
the Liverpool folk.
Yeah.
I think
he's more of a Manchester fan.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, the people banned in my classroom, Frank Longbottom and Paul Hollywood. Oh man, I think it's fascinating, the idea of Snape like going on with the dueling club. I mean, for the mini segment of What If Phileas Flitwick, that's my only What If Phileas Flitwick moment, which is like, what if Phileas Flitwick ran a dueling club? How much better would Harry be? Hey, Dumbledore, can you go get one of your other teachers to teach Harry some extra something special, because he's gonna have to freaking face Voldemort at the end of his 7th year?
Yeah, I feel like that Charms gets like a bad rap at being like the
easy
quote
class?
unquote like easy class. It's like the English class. But I think like Charms could be so like useful. Yeah. Especially to Snape, like a degreasing charm.
Scourgify. Ah, you rubbed my skin off. Oh man. Yeah, what if Snape continuing on with the dueling club? Harry would be a much more accomplished, even if he hates Snape. He's still a pretty good potion maker. Even like he gets an E at the OWL simply because the presence of Snape not being next to him makes him calm and think clear-headed enough to get an E, which is not nothing. Mm-hmm. And I think he'd be a better dueler, and he wouldn't be a one-shot pony, because the one spell that Snape teaches him in that dueling class, Harry goes on to be the biggest master of, more than anybody else. It's his only love. Expelliarmus is what Snape uses against Lockhart. Like, he learns from the Half-Blood Prince right there, and it like, can you imagine if he taught Stupefy, if he taught anything other than just that? Like, even with the Point Me smell, Harry would be like, I always know where north is because I cast Point Me on my heart. And so every time I'm going north, it pulls me a little bit more in that direction. It'd be cool. That's all garbage, but yes, that'd be sweet. I would love that. one of the most fascinating things is, okay, so let's pretend that Snape is, I mean, regardless of if he's continued to be the dueling teacher and shown everybody that he's actually a great defense against the dark arts teacher, or that he's just been his normal self, but Harry and Ron are actually way smarter about this and go to the person that they feel like might be able to help them the most, which is Snape, turns out. What if Snape accompanied Ron and Harry into the Chamber of Secrets instead of Gilderoy Lockhart?
I just think, I mean, I'm picturing like a young Riddle adult Snape face off, which would be very intriguing.
He'd be like, oh my God, he's so good looking.
I should wash my hair.
I think that it would be fascinating because we don't really get too many instances of Snape interacting with Voldemort in general. So him interacting with a young Riddle would be very interesting. And like, what would Riddle have to say? And like, what would he know about Snape from Ginny or from
Ginny? Yeah.
Or like anything, like, has Ginny mentioned him at all? Like, would she have some sort of like background that she would have given to Riddle? I don't know. Maybe because Ginny seems to write about Harry 90% of the time. And if she's like, Snape is always bullying Harry or whatever, like that potentially could have been written in there. But
Riddle's like, high five.
Yeah.
Nice job, Mudbloods. Am I right? Yeah.
That's what it would have triggered him. I'm also picturing, like, you know, at the end when Fox like carries like Harry, Ginny, Ron and Gilderoy. Lockhart, it's like Snape at the end.
Just flopping around in his long black robes. Oh man, yeah. That would have been really interesting. I also wonder if Snape would have recognized that the diary was a Horcrux.
That it was a Horcrux.
And stabbed it immediately with, or like Avada Kedavra it, because it seems like right anything that causes permanent damage. So I wonder if Avada Kedavra would work or not on a Horcrux.
I don't think so, because it needs to cause irreparable damage to the host.
Avada Kedavra does that.
Well, but
I know there's no.
I thought there was some mention.
There's no answer to that.
Well, I mean, I guess technically it gets rid of the one in Harry. So
yeah, I think it does work.
But I don't know if that's because Harry is a person.
Right.
Is my like he's a living
like Avada Kedavra, a journal, like the journal didn't die.
Exactly,
I see.
Exactly. Like the journal is an inanimate object. So like
journal start walking.
Like the journal itself has to be damaged beyond repair.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't think Avada Kedavra would do that to a physical
an
item.
inanimate object for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point.
Cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I wonder if he recognizes it, but also I think Ron and Snape die.
How so?
If Snape goes down, because Ron and Lockhart get separated.
If you say the snake swallows them whole, I'm done.
A little hors d'oeuvre before Harry.
Why is it always swallowing?
Exactly.
Oh man, I don't even remember what episode that is. Listeners, go back, see if you can find that moment with Irvin and Sierra. Anyways,
and Tiff.
And Tiff, that's right. We had an episode where we talked now way too much about people getting eaten alive.
It was people missing from the battle.
Oh yeah, everyone got eaten by acromantulas in my head.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Anyways, no, I wasn't going to say that. I think so. Lockhart and Ron get separated because Lockhart's spell, and it does the cave in, and Harry gets on the other side. Snape and Ron show up, and maybe Snape is able to figure out some magic to block the basilisk's eyes, but it's a pretty. I think the basilisk now has to contend with 3 people and goes for Ron, and maybe Snape gets caught up in it, and maybe everybody dies. But I think we have a very different battle because maybe maybe Fox doesn't even feel the need to come because Snape is there, or Harry feels protected because of Snape, or maybe Snape literally just petrifies both boys, goes down himself, and then dies. Well, he can't without Harry because he needs Parseltongue. But anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. At best, he would just slow him down, or like, I don't know. He would just get in the way, like Snape and Ron.
Ron specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron would just be like a messing Ginny.
Yeah, true.
And then realize that there is like a Nutri-Grain bar in her pocket and be eating it when he looks up and sees the yellow eyes of the snake.
No, we like Ron in the second book. And then that's where he peeks.
Yeah, he does speak in the second book. Yeah, fascinating. It'd be really cool to see Snape go tete-a-tete with young Riddle and the Basilisk.
Mm-hmm.
And then he draws the sword of Gryffindor, and he's like, "Oh my God, no!" Anyways, eat me, Slytherin. Anyways, Prisoner of Azkaban, people. Prisoner of Azkaban. What if Snape was swallowed whole by a Dementor?
By Buckbeak.
By Buckbeak. Huge mouth on that eagle. What if Snape outwardly outed Lupin earlier in the year? So not just his open the books with page 394 and read about werewolves. It is like he is just going to everyone, sonorous-ing his voice right when Dumbledore is like at a meeting at the Ministry and you know the Great Hall is full for breakfast, and he goes, "Attention, ladies and gentlemen, Professor R.J. Lupin is a werewolf. Here's a picture I took of him last night.
And please have your permission slip signed by I think his version of that is saying turn to page 394.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think more it's just if he was obvious, because either everybody's really dense or just nobody's piecing things. Nobody knows all the information, but like Hermione's literally the only one to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, other people might have,
that we know of.
I will say,
switch of her age.
It tracks hard that teenagers will be information will be shoved under their nose, but because it's subtext, they're like, "What?"
Yeah, but that's, I think, the spirit of the question is if he was more obvious about it and like was clearly outing him.
Hey, Lupin, why are you always sick during the full moon?
Yeah. It's an interesting boggart you've got there.
Why is your boggart the full moon?
He's like, guys, I think there's a werewolf on the staff. I'm not saying who, but I'm just saying one of them gets sick quite often.
One of them's really new. One of them is new at teaching this year. One of them does not teach care of magical creatures. I think.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine a Hagrid-sized werewolf?
I wonder if Hagrid can get infected as a half giant.
I don't know. I don't know that we know if giants and lycanthropy are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But he loves animals. But like, what if he just like he just wants to like slice them open and eat them like raw?
It changes his taste to want to eat all the magical creatures that he's taking care of.
Oh no!
Hey, what happened
Yummy
to Hagrid?
beasts and where to find them.
We're very sorry about what happened with care of magical creatures this year, governors. We did not realize that when Professor Lupin came aboard that we would ultimately be providing Hagrid with a smorgasbord of magical creatures.
So.
How does it taste?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know?
The guide doesn't say. I guess there's no reason you couldn't eat them.
Oh, I see.
But it's nice and plump, so I'm sure it'd make a hearty meal.
That's a good point.
Oh my god, what if like they're like, okay guys, for today's lesson of care of magical creatures, thank you for joining us at night in the full moon. This is a werewolf. We have tamed him.
Oh man, it's kind of like when kids get brought in to talk about their backgrounds. Hey, we're doing a study on this sort of area. Like, you're from the area. Come on in and explain it to us. And they just bring Lupin. Like, explain to us what it's like being a werewolf. And he's like, he's drunk the potion, but he's still fully transformed. And he's like, well, I'm itchy right now. He's like scratching his beard.
Can I go back under my desk now?
Yeah. Oh, poor Lupin. Can I go back under my desk?
Damn. Speaking of, I think everybody hates Snape for being like, you know, why did he rat out like Lupin and stuff? But he still didn't take the potion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Snape is vindicated when he's a little, like, turns into a werewolf, because he's like, I was literally saying the entire time he would be
a dangerous
to kids.
And he was.
And who forgets to take, like, I feel like the wands, if they can point you at the direction of a compass, I think that it should come with, like, an alarm.
Listen, Neha, I'm going to run you through a situation, a scenario, if you will, why Lupin might not have taken the potion. Imagine, if you will, that 12 years before, your best friend was murdered because your other best friend and potential lover sold out his secrets to the Dark Lord, and then that best friend murdered this other best friend when that best friend confronted that best friend. I hope you're following me so far. Then,
yes,
12 years later, you're like, this best friend is dead. He definitely could turn into a rat, and he lost a finger at some point, but he's dead. And then you look at this old map that you created when you were in school, and you were like, oh my God, the map never lies, and that best friend is alive. Oh my God, Sirius is innocent, and everyone's going to try and kill him. I got to go save his butt. And I probably might forget to take my werewolf potion.
I don't know. I just feel like turning into a werewolf is like a really, like, would hinder him from, like, avenging his best friend. Why can't he just take it to go? You know, like a little cup.
Well, he
H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
doesn't have it on him. Like, Snape brews it fresh and brings it to him.
Yeah, every month,
every day. So, like,
oh my God, is it Snape?
He has to. He's not gonna, like, sit and be like, hey, Snape, you think you can be here like 20 minutes, or like, can you be here like right now? I gotta go like save the people that you hate the most in the world.
Okay, by the way, what if when they meet in the Shrieking Shack, Snape is like, I've caught you, and he's like, hold on, here. Just before we...
Snape could have brought it with him. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he absolutely could have.
He had it with him when he went to Lupin's office and saw the map. He could have taken the potion with him.
You're so right.
Because he knows where Lupin is. Here you go. It's on Snape.
And he should have taken the potion because he knows that he's a werewolf. Like, the question really isn't why didn't Lupin remember to take the potion when he, like, figures out a mystery of 12 years and it's super shocking and it changes everything he thought that absolutely devastated his life 12 years ago. That I give him a pass for. Snape being like, look at Lupin. I'm going to go f*** him up without his potion. Like,
okay, I will say, yeah, that was not great.
So speaking of Lupin and Snape, what if Snape didn't keep a schoolboy grudge and became friendly with Lupin?
Boring.
I actually think they could have been pretty good friends. They seem to be on the same intellectual level.
They're both broody.
Similar, yeah,
they both look sallow. They both are unkempt, you know?
They both cared about Lily.
Yeah, for sure. I think Snape would have been a very jealous best friend when Lupin finally found love.
Yeah.
True.
Snape would just be like, wow, I wonder what that's like.
Lupin's
reciprocated love.
For real. Can you have her can I have her for one night and have her look like Lily?
No.
Could you just metamorph Marjorie herself into Lily for me?
No.
For one night. That's all I'm asking.
Sarah, I like how you clocked that right away. I was like, where's him going with this?
No, I knew exactly where he was going to go with that. 14 years will do that to you.
Yeah. I also think it would be so funny.
I had spent 14 years.
I also think it would be really funny if Snape and Lupin were getting along to see how Harry would be like, what the f*** is happening? Why? I really liked Lupin and now I don't know if I trust him.
Well, Lupin's nice to Snape, regardless. So I don't know that it would change Harry's, like, perspective too much because he respects Lupin's opinion and Lupin's nice to Snape anyway.
That's true. Maybe he would see Snape and be like, why is Snape laughs?
Yeah.
Like, what? You know?
Yeah.
Totally.
I think it could only improve things. Okay. On things that irk me, though, here's my next question. In the Shrieking Shack, what if Snape either A, actually heard the entire explanation instead of only part of it, or B, actually listened to the answer. Because I hate this trope in anything that it's in. Someone hearing half a conversation, jumping to conclusions. Or worse, just plain not listening to anybody trying to explain themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that is in way too many movies, way too many mediums, where it's just like, no, I understand exactly what you think of me. And it's like, hold on, what do you think that I'm thinking? Like, let's just clarify this really quickly. And it frustrates me so much when, like, the main plot of, like, a whole movie or a section of a movie or over a book or anything could literally just be rectified by two people saying, like, 3 sentences. Like, instead of just like, no, I don't want to hear it and walking away, maybe just listen.
It's really interesting because
maybe just listen.
You know,
men listening, crazy.
Oh my God, never going to happen. Sorry, what'd you say, Neha? I think what's really interesting is when you first read this, it's set up as if like Snape hates Sirius because of the prank so much, and like he was right. James' best friend and everything. And then when you read it in hindsight of the whole series, Snape feels like he's finally found the man responsible for Lily being dead. This is the guy. Yeah. I might have reported this. I feel guilty. I feel culpable. But at least I wasn't the man who gave up the Fidelius charm for Voldemort to be able to find their house. I'm finally going to avenge Lily. And Rowling does a great job of showing how incensed and how implacable, unhinged Snape is.
Yeah, well I also think that's why he can't be friends with Lupin, because he just like associates that group. Like, you guys were all friends with Peter Pettigrew or whatever, or Sirius, because he thinks it's Sirius. That's your guys' bestie, and he is the reason why the love of my life is like died. Like, I don't want to be friends with you.
Right. You enabler, you person that like helped this group be shitty the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already bad enough I have to brew this very intense potion every month for you, dude.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
Now you want my friendship? Crazy.
I don't know. I think bonding over the common betrayal that they both would have felt.
Yeah. Could have been a door opener.
Could have opened things up on that one side. But I see both ways. How, like, just depending on, I mean, obviously it went the other way because that's who Snape is. But like, there could be a potential, if kind of like we were saying, or like you were saying earlier, that if he had started to soften a little bit over time, by here, he could have softened enough to be able to at least allow Lupin to be a friendly acquaintance or something like that. Maybe not best friends or anything, but like a friendly acquaintance. And then fast forward that to Order, you'd have better rapport with more Order members because you're already on good standing with Lupin, even though Lupin still has a high opinion of Snape and still is very positive towards him, but seeing that reciprocated would be huge. Yeah. And then he could turn his view on Sirius because all of this would have been resolved and like earlier. Like, they could have handled their issues, like Snape and Sirius's issues could have been handled 2 years previously almost. Like,
then like the betrayal part of like in Deathly Hallows would be like way more like gut-wrenching of being like, what, Snape? Like, I thought he was like finally good. Like, what he went back, like, you know, he was been a triple agent this whole time, you know?
Because Lupin's reaction at the end of Half-Blood is about his trust in Dumbledore's trust of Snape was misplaced versus like my trust of Severus Snape was misplaced. Neha and I have this problem with Lupin, and this is a totally different podcast conversation, but like, Lupin, why don't you try harder? And like, this is one of those things where it's like, if Lupin and Snape were friends, Neha, I still don't know if he's able to turn people's minds on Snape, because I don't know if he tries that hard really with like Sirius to like, hey, actually he's a good guy, like you should give him a chance. Like I feel like he's already doing the max that he's capable of, even if he was friends with Snape.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, like Lupin is so, I don't know, like I think reading Harry Potter as an adult, I'm just like, wow, all of these adults are horrible.
So
like just horrible. Especially Lupin, I feel like in the like he just first of all, where were you before for like the first 13 years of this kid's life? Weren't you besties with his dad? And then second of all, like after he's like gets kicked out of Hogwarts, he's still not that active in his life. And when he is, he's just kind of like there, like he was in the Marauders, just like hanging in the back while like everyone else is doing it. He's like, I don't know, I'm here, but I'm not a part of it. It's just like
Sirius on the run is way more like, yeah, okay, he's got the title of Godfather, but like they were all best friends. So it's like Sirius on the run has so much more communication with Harry than Lupin does.
He's literally, I know that's kind of like cathartic for him because he's like, I'm eating Pettigrew every time I eat this rat, but like he's still eating rats. Sierra, your laugh killed me so much.
That's the only way he can eat it. He has to do a whole role play in his mind.
Yeah. All right, this is Peter.
Like, at some point, he like accidentally actually catches Peter.
The end.
Peter's like sleeping or something, and it's just shoot.
Oh, that's so funny.
Why is this spicy?
So finishing up Prisoner of Azkaban. What if Snape didn't out Lupin at all? So I'm aware that the position of Defense Against the Dark Arts is still moldy with Voldy's little curse, and Lupin has to leave anyways. But like, do we think that there's any good graces between Snape and Lupin at that point? Is Snape even capable of not outing him because he's so mad about Sirius escaping? Like,
I think like if Snape didn't like out Lupin at all, and like let's say that in the fourth book, like he's still Defense Against the Dark Arts, I think Barty Crouch Jr. would have Avada'd Snape because he hates or have done something to Snape because he hates like traitors, and then would have been in like taking his position. Like that's how I see it.
Oh, you think Barty Crouch then goes for Snape? He comes in as Snape, not Mad Eye Moody. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. That next target, not a new teacher, but here's an old Death Eater that I hate.
Yeah, because he betrayed, betrayed Voldy.
Right.
Also, like, I just don't understand. Speaking of, like, prisoner, why didn't Snape try if he knows that Peter Pettigrew was the one who, like, ratted them out? How come he doesn't try to, like, find him or is more obsessed with, like, I don't know, like, getting Peter Pettigrew? Because I just feel like...
Well,
later on in the series.
I feel like by the time that I feel like by the time that he knows where Pettigrew has gone, which like we don't know how much he tried to search for him or something, but it doesn't sound like it was it was not very long from Pettigrew leaving to Pettigrew finding Voldemort. So there's like a really small window there where Snape could catch Pettigrew alone. And then Pettigrew is with Voldemort and like, yeah, he's in a very weakened state, but I think Snape, if he did catch up to Pettigrew kind of in that middle ground area, kind of like the, pre-Goblet
before Albania, like he tracks him through France and Italy and I mean, you don't get to Albania through Italy, but France all the way down into Croatia and into Albania. Yeah. But I don't think Dumbledore is keeping Snape in his confidences like that. I really think that Snape is so incensed by all this that Dumbledore doesn't tell him about the whole Pettigrew, Sirius is innocent sort of stuff until we see Sirius and Snape shake hands during Goblet. So even then, like Snape is still thinking it's Sirius until the end of Goblet, and then Peter, by that point, he then has to play nice. It's not like he can just go and kill the guy that brought Voldemort back. He does, as we see in Half-Blood Prince, he does treat him really crappily.
It's true.
He's like, basically like, you are my personal servant. Yeah. You're Dobby. Mm-hmm. You're my Dobby.
Yeah.
On to goblets of fire. if you couldn't understand that. What if Snape, instead of being his punky-dunky self, tried to help Harry and became his protector instead of just complaining to Dumbledore? You know, a la, like, how he helps Draco in Half-Blood Prince. I'm not saying he has to do, like, an unbreakable vow to be like, Harry will survive. Although, if he'd taken one for Cedric, that would have been good. Or we'd have two dead people, one of those two. But, why doesn't he? What if he did? What would happen?
I feel like Snape could have given some decent advice. Because... okay, first of all, the gillyweed comes from his own stores. So he knows what that is and what it does. And it would be very simple to just be like, maybe take a browse in here. See if anything.
And it takes them way too long to try and come up with literally anything. Like, that's so frustrating.
Okay, side note on that. There's multiple things that Harry can do. 2 people use bubblehead charms. 1 person uses a partial transfiguration. And there's gillyweed. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that could have been done to help him breathe underwater. Like, I do not understand how they are racking their brains and...
especially Hermione.
Like, ransacking the library.
Yeah, Hermione, just out of character. What do you mean?
It would be in character for Madame Maxine to be constantly confunding Hermione the entire time.
I thought you were gonna say it would be on brand for them to like remove all helpful books from the library.
That is actually also on brand.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh man.
Because there's no way they didn't come across a bubblehead charm in a book about breathing. Like, come on.
And this is why they rag on charms, but charms saves the day.
Every time.
Is what I'm saying.
Greasy hair, breathing underwater. That's all we got so far.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think for the first task? Like, what could he have helped? I don't know how much he would have been able to help maybe with that one, but...
Snape probably goes to the dragon and says, eat him, but leave me his eyes.
Oh, God.
No, but I think, like, he could have helped with the gillyweed, but I think for, like, the third task, he could have helped him with all of the dark arts spells, because he just fancies the dark arts like that. Imagine him being like, oh my God, do Sectum Sempra. Like, you know.
Just Sectum Sempra the bushes. It'll be great.
Oh my God. Yeah. I just feel like he has more spells that he could have shown Harry.
I really, sorry, this just hit me. I really want to see a scene where Snape goes for a swim with Harry in the lake just to be like, I don't know, put the egg underwater.
He like, I could, if it was going to be in character for Snape, he'd be like, your presence is requested at the edge of the lake. Bring the egg. And then Harry would show up and he'd just kick him in the water. Just be like,
just Spartan kicks him, just...
Oh my God. Or what if like Snape is like, God, I have to disrobe. And Harry's like, what is going on?
See, I was going to say, I want to see the scene where Severus takes a bath with Harry in like 1920s swim gear.
Oh.
They're just sitting in a hot tub, but without the bubbles on. Or it's just like warm, gross bath with friends.
2 bros chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart because they're not. Do you know that?
No.
Vine? I'm quoting a Vine.
Well
done. Sam.
I missed out.
You get it.
I missed out on the Vine era. I didn't have a smart phone until after Vine had been destroyed.
Okay.
I got one right at the end. I think I had it for like at the end of its life.
Okay, well, I'm just going to make a note to like send you that Vine at the end.
But I've seen a lot of YouTube compilations
of Vines. Yes, I love them. I love them so much. Yeah, I think for the first task, I do wonder if Snape is like it becomes about stealth of movement for Harry. Because Snape is so good with his magical transportation and his sort of like way of disguising the things around him to be able to maneuver very deftly. And so I wonder if it becomes more about what can you do to avoid detection rather than, hey, blast him in the face like Sirius says. Because whatever Sirius was going to say the Confundus charm, so I'm like, it can't be that. Snape would say the other thing, because Snape and Sirius are polar opposites when it comes to, like, giving advice. Yeah,
maybe Snape would be like, do your Patronus, like a corporal Patronus, and have it distract, like, the dragon or something.
Where's Lupin? Why isn't Lupin? Anyways, that's a whole different podcast. Where is Lupin is a whole different deal. Anyways, you were saying...
Where he was for the first 13 years of his life. He just
Where is Lupin is the spin-off Patreon content of What If Snape.
on the tale of like Snape helping Harry in the fourth book, I think this would have been the perfect transition of like him starting to care for him or starting to see parts of Lily. This would have been like a great thing. I wonder how he would have dealt with like the feeling of that. Like how would Snape cope with being like, oh my god, he reminds me of Lily? Yeah. You know.
That would have been really cool to see. I think poorly.
Yeah.
No notes.
You reacted poorly.
He would have rolled a 1. Oh. Just a mopey mess now. I also think if Snape was helping out, he and Harry was like confiding in him in the way that he was confiding in Sirius, because Harry doesn't get to talk to Sirius as much as he would like for obvious reasons. Yeah, but I think if he confides in Snape, I wonder if Snape unearths Barty Crouch Jr.'s mystery quicker.
Yeah. Also, sorry, before I lose this thought, like, do you think if Harry was sorted into Slytherin, he would have been closer to Snape, and that's when we would have seen like Snape, I don't know, care for Harry?
So here's why I think that's possible. I think that as Snape's like not changing his personality, he probably would have had some great satisfaction in molding Harry into the opposite of James. Yeah. And so I think that if he had the opportunity to be more directly involved and be already from like the get-go of like a sorting, like, oh, James would have hated that his son was sorted into Slytherin. Like starting with that initial moment, I think that would have been fine, because that also doesn't contradict with his like memory of Lily. Because Lily didn't care that Snape was sorted into Slytherin, so she wouldn't have cared what house her son was in, but James would have cared for sure.
So it had to start with Snape being like, oh, James would have hated this, and you know what else he would have hated? His son loving me.
I mean, can you just imagine him trying to be like, I'm your father now? Like, if he just takes on that role, like James would have hated if we were close.
Look at me. Look at me. I'm your father now.
I am your father now.
That's probably the thing that you and I reference most on the podcast, Sierra, is look at me. Look at me. And I've never seen Captain Phillips.
You've never seen it?
No, I just reference it all the time.
We showed it at school. I think that's when I saw it.
I never saw it. I just know the lines so well. Oh, man. Yeah, I also think that just the physical representation of James wearing Slytherin colors would have been shocking to Snape, and also Harry wearing all that green would have brought out the green in his eyes, and I don't think Snape could deny, oh my god, those are Lily's eyes. On to Order of the Phoenix, because we have so many big things to discuss here. Sierra, you've posed this wonderful question around the arrests of Death Eaters and Snape's potential involvement.
Yes. So here's my what if, and we can have it be in kind of two parts, because we brought up this slightly earlier. What if Snape had been arrested with the other Death Eaters and sent to Azkaban and was part of the mass breakout? That's kind of part one. Part two can be, what if he killed Lockhart and went to Azkaban? And then was part of the mass break.
Okay, tackling part one. So in this scenario, Sierra, is he like still a double agent and Dumbledore just like is like, now you're on your own, have fun in Azkaban? Or is he like torturing Frank and Alice Longbottom? Is he
I think he's still a double agent, but Dumbledore can't keep him out of prison.
Okay. So
I think he did everything the same, but Dumbledore's not able to keep him out of prison. So he has to go.
So Dumbledore testifies in front of the people that don't have to have a trial, and he's unable to convince Barty Crouch Sr. to keep Snape out of prison. So I think at that point, Snape escapes with the Death Eaters, and the first thing he does is goes and digs up the bone of Barty Crouch Sr. and Avada Kedavras it just to make sure he's dead.
Except for that he wouldn't know where it was.
He just intrinsically, he knows how to get revenge. That's Snape in a nutshell. That's why he bullies Harry so much. No, I think it creates a much more difficult line of connection with Dumbledore in terms of trying to reestablish a communication line in the spying, because there's just no reason for Snape to be at Hogwarts. So you still have that spy that's there, but Snape has to be way more on top of his occlumency. And he has to be able to disguise all movement.
Yeah, because then he wouldn't have an explanation as to why he's always going to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I mean, Dumbledore has other ways of communicating, and I'm sure they could meet in a third-party location to give reports and stuff.
There's also no... So I still think Snape kills Dumbledore at the end of Half-Blood Prince, like he's there. There's no personal connection with Harry, which is weird. And also... who's at Hogwarts as the headmaster? Right. Because is it Snape? Is that's where Voldemort is just stationing him, or is he the Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers instead of the Carrows? Is he able to protect the kids like he kind of sort of maybe does in Deathly Hallows? There's a bunch of major questions here, and I think in general, I still think he keeps with Dumbledore, because I think that his grief over Lily, I think, would save his sanity in the same way that Sirius's knowledge that he's innocent saves his, because that grief is not a positive emotion that the Dumbledores can suck out of him, that the Dementors can suck out of him, and so I still think he's able to keep his sanity.
Wait, can you repeat that about the grief?
So, Sirius survives and is able to hold some sort of mental fortitude in his 12 years because he says, I knew I was innocent, which wasn't exactly a happy thought, but is a thought that kept him sane. And I think that the bittersweet love-grief mix that is basically the Patronus that he shows, right? That love for Lily that is steeped in sadness is not stealable by the Dementors. And so that grief would keep him sane.
Yeah. His grief and love. And also I think he would have been like, Lily's like son is out there and I promised Dumbledore and like whatever.
He's at Hogwarts. He's at Hogwarts. What? Sirius is saying the same thing. What's happening here?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if, because grief is rooted in love, and the Dementors would take the love from him.
I don't know, but they take happiness.
It would be twisted. I don't know. I feel like having only the guilt and the anger would break his mind a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying he'd be completely insane or anything like that, but I just don't know how much he would be in his right mind to be able to make the right choices. Because I think most of the Death Eaters in the Breakout are a little off their rocker. I mean, obviously Bellatrix being the one we see the most and is the most insane and whatever. And as to how much she was whacked out before she went to Azkaban, we're not 100% sure, but that can't have helped. And I'm sure the interesting thing though about Bellatrix, as a side note, is she derives so much pleasure from all the harm that she does that it's interesting that would still remain, because if all she's doing is causing harm and she's so happy about that, and the Dementors are taking everything happy from her, then wouldn't she like not want to cause harm anymore? Because I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't know exactly the long-term effects of Dementors on people, but like she'd be in despair because she couldn't harm people. Well, so then I guess when she's able to again. But if that's all that if that's all that like drives her, how would she have a personality left?
But I think that's what I'm saying is that the Dementors suck out the happiness. They feed off of your happiness.
Yeah.
Bellatrix still very much adores and loves Voldemort before and after. They don't take that from her. And so I think that's true for Snape as well. It's like love isn't necessarily only a positive emotion. I think it also exists, not to get super deep on the Three Broomsticks, the Love podcast, but it's sort of, love exists in this sort of umami flavor station where you're like, I don't really know what it is, but I know it when I feel it.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. And well, I mean, you could argue also that Bellatrix doesn't love Voldemort. She's obsessed.
Yeah, but you could also argue that with Snape.
Obsession.
And Lily. So that
I'm coming around to this idea that Bellatrix it's not the love, it's the obsession. So therefore for Snape, it would be the obsession with Lily, because as we may or may not get to later in this episode when we talk about the stuff, he doesn't love Lily. He's obsessed with her.
Yeah, I agree.
And so the obsession...
Disagree.
We'll get there. Hold your fight.
We'll get there.
It's for the 12th round.
The obsession, and maybe even if we're going, sure, he loves her or whatever, the obsession of wanting to avenge her or wanting to whatever, or just the obsession of his guilt, that could keep him, I guess, relatively sane. Because like Sirius's harping on the fact that he was innocent is kind of an obsession. Like he's obsessed with the fact that he's innocent, therefore he can dwell on that and keep himself.
And then he's obsessed with the idea of killing Peter, which gets him out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I think is possible. If Snape gets arrested with the Death Eaters and brought there, I think it's very possible that he tries to strangle Sirius in his cell. But if he gets sent
we don't know how much like contact prisoners have. I know.
Do they have rec time? Like, what's the deal? Is there like a Quidditch team?
I don't know.
Just on like toy broomsticks?
Yes, they're gonna let them have broomsticks. No, I mean, because, we don't hear, like, you would assume that if they did have some sort of communal time, then Sirius and Bellatrix would have interacted and we would have heard about that.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing is very quickly before we move on, I think if Snape gets sent there for killing Lockhart, he actually turns back into a Death Eater. I don't think that happens with the former one, but I think if he's like, I killed this son of a gun Lockhart, and Dumbledore fired me and put me here, when we know that guy's evil, I'm Team Valdi again. I don't care about James's kid.
And his soul would have been damaged already, so he would have been there.
He would have made a Horcrux out of a Dementor. It would have been crazy. The Dementor's constantly trying to kiss itself because it's got a soul attached to it. I feel like I'm my own food. What do I do?
It's craving chocolate.
But we talked about that in one of the other episodes that was the same. Was it the same one where we talked about how Dementors are Pac-Man?
Oh yeah, Dementors are Pac-Man.
Could it destroy a Horcrux?
Yeah,
right?
It feels
because it's a soul piece.
Yeah.
Ooh. So would it just destroy itself?
Can you imagine having, like, you know how they have like bomb sniffing dogs? You just have like a Dementor, a Horcrux sniffing Dementor.
That would be amazing.
Snape had actually tried to be pleasant to the other Order of the Phoenix members. AKA, what if Snape never goaded Sirius?
Sirius was a little bitch in order, so I'm all for his goading. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Sirius needed to be bullied. I'm so sorry. He was so annoying.
So what we're getting here is yet another instance where he is pro-bullying.
Where what?
Where Neha's pro-bullying.
I bring bullying back is what I'm saying. No, I think Sirius was so annoying, and he's just, oh my god, from the get-go just doesn't, like, is kind of happy if Harry, like, doesn't get to go back to Hogwarts, and then is just like, you're not like James, man. Like, I think Snape just goading Sirius a little bit, like, he kind of deserves that.
So you're fine with the fact that Snape making Sirius feel useless ends up getting underneath Sirius's skin so bad that he flies to the Order's help and gets himself killed. You're like, yep, good, right. That's the right action. Snape did his best.
Did Snape tell him to do that?
Yes.
Are you saying Sirius isn't a man of his own actions?
Have you never been bullied?
Like,
Have you ever been bullied? The bullies are in the back of your head going, hey, Neha.
No, look at my face. I've never been bullied ever. And look at the religion that I follow. I've never, ever experienced that. Just kidding.
Neha, you're going to get me canceled.
I'm so sorry. I literally said I wouldn't do that, and I'm literally doing the thing that I said I wouldn't do.
Okay, so regardless of if you've ever been bullied or not, I feel drunk. I don't know how to recover. Anyways, moving past blatant Islamophobia that you faced, which is a sentence I've never thought I've said in my whole life. Listen, Snape is an adult and he doesn't need to be bullying other people. Sirius is also an adult who's having a very crappy time and needs to be more needs to grow up as well. Like, I'm not saying that Sirius is in any way, like, he is absolutely horrible to Harry in making Harry feel guilty for, like, going to school or doing all of these different things. But if Snape hadn't goaded Sirius might still be alive today.
I mean, that's what Harry thinks for sure.
That's what Harry thinks. Is Harry a trusted narrator?
No.
I also think, I see what you're saying, but I think, like, for me, if we're talking just about, like, the goading and the bullying back, like, I think if Snape was to be bullying towards, like, Lupin, I'd be like, why? I don't know, like, a little bit like, Snape, you don't need to do that. But I think because Sirius is so annoying, like, I'm just like,
really,
yeah, that's fine.
Really doubling down on, like, listen, Sirius is being annoying. Somebody got to put him in a corner.
I'm saying, and then also, I don't know if I really think that, like, because even Dumbledore is like, Harry, it's not Snape. Like, you can 100% blame Snape for, like, the occlumency and how, like, Harry has that vision. But, like, I think Sirius would have come to the Department of Mysteries regardless of whether Snape would have goaded him or not.
I truly and honestly feel like if Sirius is in a better spot health-wise, which is less to do with Snape, if Sirius was getting better mental health care and wasn't stuck at his mother's old home, that he would have been more likely to listen to Dumbledore and stay put. And I don't think the fact that Sirius or Snape is the one that tells Sirius, Dumbledore says to stay put. I think because of that relationship that they've established of Snape goading him and being like, you're not very useful, I'm the one out there, like, he's intimating all of this behavior and garbage. I really do think that Snape's goading contributes, doesn't cause, but contributes in a very unhealthy way that eventually leads to Sirius's death. Do you think
in that moment Snape, and, like, regardless, I think, like, what you're saying is fine, but, like, do you think in that moment Snape was kind of like, Dumbledore said to
yes, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think 100%. So? Yeah. Damn.
That's absolutely what Snape was doing. He loathes Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, when he gives, when they talk about Dumbledore's orders with Harry in the room, that's exactly how Snape treats Sirius then as well.
Yeah, but I think like different than like, I don't know, the kids being at the Department of Mysteries facing Death Eaters. No?
But Snape proves that he shows any minute to chide, he will.
Yeah, no, Snape 100% like, oh, Sirius, you are here. Okay, great. Well, they're off at the Department of Mysteries. I'm going to go collect everybody else. Dumbledore said to stay. You stay. Sit. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Makes a dog for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Sit, stay.
One thing about Snape is if there's an opportunity to bully anything in his sight, he's going to take it.
He will take it.
Absolutely. Okay, what if Snape was able to convey better to Harry that he understood his signal about Padfoot?
Like, obviously, I think Harry still would have gone to the Department of Mysteries anyway, because he wouldn't have waited around. Thinking of the sequence of events, he's still, like, kind of trapped with Umbridge. They still have to get out of that situation first. They're not going to just, like, willingly stay trapped with Umbridge and, like, hope that Snape comes back to get them. Like, I don't think that would happen. So they don't have any way to, like, communicate with Snape for Snape to say, yes, he's there, no, he isn't. So I think the key thing would be, like, Harry would still have gone, also not trusting that, like, adults would get there in time if Sirius was there. But perhaps they would have been maybe a little, like, once arriving, like, being a little bit more patient, being a little bit more cautious, knowing that there's backup coming, because then they would be able to, like, prep better, not think, oh, we're on our own. The ministry is completely empty. This area is totally empty. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, there's little signs that I think if they were a little bit less frantic, a little bit slower and, like, observant, because they knew that they would have people coming to join them, that I think they wouldn't have, like, rushed in quite as they did. But I do think that he still, like, Harry still would have convinced them all to go.
I think that there's one shot at Harry not going to the Department of Mysteries if Snape is clearer. And I think it's really extreme, and so it would not have happened. But if Snape, in that moment, stuns everybody in that room, except for Harry, Ron, and Hermione, modifies everybody's memory so that they don't remember what's going on, talks to Harry specifically and says, Dumbledore has been worried this whole time that Voldemort's trying to lure you to the Department of Mysteries. Do not go there under any circumstances. Sirius, I will confirm that Sirius is fine. Let's go together and do this.
Yeah.
If that happens, then great. And that is what Snape, in my opinion, should have done. He's an extremely...
Or he's a legilimate. He can't just...
Well, you can't transfer your thoughts to somebody else's thoughts with legitimacy.
I don't know. I feel like you could do that. It's magic. I don't understand.
You feel like he should have just shed some memory tears and thrown them right into Harry's brain?
He should. I feel like he could. I don't know. Like, I feel like as a legilimens, you could do that
because it's only about opening and closing the mind. So if it would be Harry would have to perform legilimency on Snape, and Snape would have to have his. But there's no way to actually, like, telekinesisly communicate as what we've seen so far textually.
But I do think like, so the people in the room are Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny,
Neville,
Luna, Neville, and Inquisitorial Squad, which is all Slytherins,
Draco,
and Umbridge. Stun Umbridge. Inquisitorial Squad, you're relieved of your duties. As your head of house, get out.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have to do anything to the students. He can just use his...
Unless Draco goes and reports back to Lucius and Snape is worried about his actions of taking a coded message from Harry about the Department of Mysteries gets back. That's why I think you have to modify Draco's memory.
That's an interesting point. Well, I was just thinking, like, at this point, they don't know that it's anything about the Department of Mysteries. Like, even Malfoy's in the dark. Like, he doesn't know that his dad is going to be at this place. Like, he doesn't know any of that. So, if it's just I guess he could figure it out afterwards.
Especially if Voldemort decides to Legilimens on Draco and see that memory clearly, depending on how clear Legilimens Voldemort can be. I think Snape would be worried about that. Or how good of an
Occlumency Draco could be. Yeah.
I think the whole point why this doesn't happen, is that Snape's position as the double agent is so tenuous. And Voldemort has direct connection into Harry's little brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has to not only put on a show for Umbridge and all of the mini Death Eaters, but he also has to put on a show just in case Voldemort is watching. Yeah.
Sam, I know you want to blame Snape for for Sirius dying, but can we all just remember that Harry has that thing, that mirror?
Oh, listen, that is
all of this conversation would be null and void if he just remembered that.
I know, and it's Sirius's own fault that Harry doesn't use it.
Yeah, it's Sirius's fault because he doesn't tell him what it is.
Well,
he just says
Molly's fault if that's the case. He doesn't tell him because he's like, I doubt Molly would approve, open it later. And he tells him what it is in the note.
Oh,
but because of the way that Sirius has been acting, including being reckless, Harry refuses to even think about it or open it and vows never to use it.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Oh, he does at that point because it's explained. Yeah, okay. But, yeah, I mean, it. And the way that Sirius phrases it is like, if you need me, then you can
hey, if you want to chat, that's the way you should have phrased it.
It's not just like, hey, I found an easier way for us to talk.
Which, why doesn't, there's so many whys. There's so many whys around. The mirrors is to me one of the most heartbreaking details of the entire series.
Yeah, I hate it so much. No, thank you. You know who I also hate, though?
Oh, Professor Umbridge? Let me guess.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, pretty much. So my next what if is, what if Snape stood up against Umbridge?
And he could have. She's not a Death Eater. He could have just rallied the troops and gotten Firenze, ridden on the back of Firenze to glory.
But that's crazy.
But he could have stood up with the other professors against Umbridge. At this point, Voldemort isn't in control of the Ministry. The Ministry is just messing up on their own. So it's kind of like the Lucius excuse of well, I didn't know that was that you approved of what was happening here. Which we don't
all
actually
I saw was somebody
know.
In the midst of my job annoying me. Yeah.
Yeah, she was making life very difficult. She needed to go. Easy peasy. I think that, they could have fought back against it. I don't know how much power the professors would have over, lobbying the governors.
Yeah, I think if McGonagall can't make Umbridge go or stand up against Umbridge, I don't know how
Snape is so much less moral than Umbridge. Or not
Umbridge would take the high road on proper channels.
In McGonagall, you mean?
That's exactly what I meant. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right, you're right, Sierra. Because imagine he's just whatever. This is just happening, and then the second Umbridge was so you applied first for the defense against the dark arts.
Avada Kedavra.
Okay, maybe not like that, but
Crucio.
He could have at that moment just been yeah, she needs to go, and then
she needs to go. Yeah.
It Christmas Story pauses, and he's like. And at this moment, I realized she needed to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will say I was reading up and she kept asking him for Veritaserum and I think he was giving her something else or something like that. Right?
Yeah, he was giving her just water.
Just fake fake Veritaserum.
Wait, so Marietta Edgecombe willingly gave out
under the pressures of her parents working for the Ministry.
Yeah.
Oh, so she didn't even have Veritaserum on her.
That's why she deserves to be permanently disfigured.
Sneak.
Yeah. But also because Umbridge was threatening, like, her parents' jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been great to see Snape lead the charge. Like, he kind of led the sneering charge against Lockhart.
Yes.
Why didn't he start a dueling club with Umbridge and then...
Oh no!
He Avada's Umbridge and then goes to Azkaban.
Oh, shucks. Everyone just got out of here.
It was like 5 days before the breakout.
Yeah. Oh, hey, do you guys want to get out of here? I know a way.
Oh, man. That would be really funny. But also, like, kind of on the lines of, like, a dueling club. What if Snape helped the DA?
The dada.
Like, what if he helped them? Because, I mean, he's always wanted to, like, teach defense against the dark arts. Like, that's what his, like, goal is. So, like, this is, like, a perfect opportunity for him to teach defense against the dark arts. Like, he could have wrapped the Slytherins
Like, if he was in Dumbledore's army? Like, if he was in the room of requirement with them?
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But again, this would mean a Snape that is softened and a Snape that is unconcerned about Voldemort peeking in and being like, why is Snape helping Harry after hours?
But again, he can use the excuse that Umbridge is such a terrible...
Yeah, that would mean that a lot more students would have to be included, which I think is something
which
that would
I
be
think
fun.
is the
Slytherins
point.
And stuff.
That's I think that's
But Slytherins are evil.
not to Snape.
Sigh.
It's okay.
Big sigh. No, but then I do think that if he does that, then like the betrayal and the end to the order people would be like greater.
Yeah.
Like it would be like the biggest blow more because I just feel like he turns on them and Harry's kind of like, I knew it all along, you know, instead of just like him being like heartbroken that yet another adult that he loved or trusted betrayed or died or whatever.
But I also think, like, can you imagine if the Slytherins were brought into the DA situation? And so then there's like some inner house unity, but then also they all collectively know more. They would have a teacher who isn't just Harry, who's teaching the 5 spells he knows, but they would have like somebody who's much more well-rounded in their like abilities and things. And like potentially the final battle goes better, even if Snape keeps his same trajectory and still kills Dumbledore and still is, you know, goes to Voldemort and all that stuff. And the Slytherins would feel just as betrayed by Snape as the rest of everybody. And they'd be more likely to be on the side of the students of Hogwarts during the final battle because they've all been together. They're all trained together. They were all betrayed together. And they could have all been part of that inclusion, potentially fewer losses.
Yeah.
Like, we could have not had as many people die.
Yeah. Like,
you could have Slytherins turning their Death Eater parents.
For sure.
Like,
yeah, that would have been great.
There would be a big, like, ripple effect.
Yeah.
That would be, Snape teaching them would have been super duper
amazing.
Cool. You know what he does? He actually does teach a different subject during Order of the Phoenix. It's a little class.
Does he though?
It's a little class called Occlumency. He teaches one.
Does he teach it though?
No, he teaches remedial potions. He actually teaches that better than he teaches Occlumency. Because Harry doesn't regress from a subject that he's never seen before. So the what if here is, what if Snape wasn't garbage at Occlumency with Harry?
Yeah. At teaching Harry Occlumency.
Harry doesn't go to the Department of Mysteries, is what it is.
No. Yeah. Harry doesn't go to the Department of Mystery. I think I'm of kind of two minds here. There is a short-term pro, but a long-term con. So the short-term pro is Harry doesn't go to the Department of Mysteries. The whole prophecy thing is null and void. Sirius is fine. The con is that later on, Harry does start to kind of rely on Voldemort's moods to get an inkling of kind of what's going on and what kind of like what stage and things they're in.
Yeah.
And then gets those violent flashes when Voldemort's really acting out.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have kind of those things, which some of that was like some pretty great information to have. So I think that that's a difficult call to make, but also if Harry was well versed in occlumency, surely he could, I mean, I guess he could turn it on and off, but also like he wouldn't know when to do that because Voldemort's mood spikes were so random and sporadic.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I mean, I think that it would like help him in the short term, but in the long term, it wouldn't be advantageous and he'd miss out on a lot.
Also, he was horrible at learning occlumency anyways. Like he wasn't even practicing. And I'm not saying that Snape was like a great, like his teaching style was, because that would be a wild
statement. That would be a wild statement if you were doubling down on Snape. Snape was good.
Because No. He obviously, no positive affirmations come from Snape at all. But like, I don't know if like, even if he continued to teach him, if he would have like learned anything. I think Harry was just so in the mindset of like, he hated it. He wasn't practicing. And I think Voldemort had enough like influence in him because he was so irritable, like the entire like series. And cause like Voldemort was, the Horcrux was alive and well.
Yeah. Right. I do wonder if occlumency can even work on a Horcrux to Horcrux connection. Like that's a huge deal. I even if it does work, like let's say Snape's softened nature and really trying to teach him occlumency gets to Harry and makes some headway. Voldemort still goes and gets the prophecy, and I'll tell you why. Voldemort's plan is really stupid. His plan is get the whole Ministry of Magic, wait until the Ministry of Magic is empty, and then send the boy in. Because he doesn't want to be seen, right? That's the whole thing, is Voldemort doesn't want to be seen at the Department of Mysteries. He doesn't want to be seen in the Ministry of Magic. I'll tell you what, it's already empty when Harry gets there. And Voldemort, while not having any hair himself, does have access to other people's hair. How hard would it be for Lucius to sneeze or fall and grab somebody's cloak and pluck out a hair of a ministry worker, and Voldemort to just walk in, polyjuiced up, grab the prophecy, and then like the plan is legitimately batshite crazy.
It's a bad plan.
It is horrible. It is. Well, let's get the boy in there. Why can't you, fully formed adult who can do many things with the magic wand?
Yeah. And also, like, send the boy in, but also make sure that you ambush him there, not like, at the door. Like, even if you're going to send the boy in, he has to leave through the door he came in. Maybe just stand at the door and funnel them all out instead of letting them have free reign over an entire department of the ministry.
I will say, I get why Dumbledore, why Voldemort was like, Lucius can stay in Azkaban, because Lucius really flubs that. He's like,
oh, it's awful.
As soon as Harry gets it, grab him right there. Are we in a department filled with very dangerous things that they could run anywhere because it's a super complicated area? Uh-huh. Can we just wait until they go to the atrium? You bet your ass. Anyways.
They don't even have to wait for that. It's a long hallway.
Yeah.
That ends in a door.
That's so
long
true.
Hallway.
It's
They're
a
not getting out
gauntlet.
of a long hallway. Come on.
It's a gauntlet. And it's 16-year-olds. What is Ginny going to do? Reductor the whole ministry on top of them?
Gah.
It's fine. That's also different.
She's really good at that reducto, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, with the prophecy though.
Yeah.
What if Snape never hears it?
Okay, so I have there's so many major questions around this. So we hear in the Department of Mysteries that there are prophecies made that nobody hears and they never come true. So does this prophecy get made regardless of Snape hearing it? Or are the events of that prophecy being made specifically because Snape is the one to be there? Because Snape, in his hurriedness to tell Voldemort about this, is the one who strings along the events of, I'm going to tell Dumbledore that Voldemort's going for these guys. Harry, that means James and Lily are emotionally prepared to be attacked. That means Lily is having more and more time to come to terms with what might happen, and her resolve might be stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where she, like many people have died for their children, but she has done it in a way that creates this protection that the curse rebounds, etc., etc., etc. Like, is Snape the linchpin? Is that how the prophecy works? Or is it just like, this is going to be true and then it just doesn't come true because... But like, or is it that Trelawney's predictions are triggered by specific moments? Okay, Peter Pettigrew's on the run from Sirius, and McNair and the whole Buckbeak situation is tonight, which triggers these events. Therefore, now I can make the prophecy right before it all comes true. Is that true of that night? Or does it have to be, like, could Lucius have overheard it? Could McNair or Rookwood have heard it, or Ludo Bagman?
Interesting.
No, I think Snape had to hear it. I think he was the catalyst, because if it was anybody else, like, they wouldn't, like, as much as Snape is, Snape, he still keeps him alive. He still keeps Harry alive, and like nobody else would like be that in Hogwarts. I also think if you know the love of your life is pregnant, you don't go running to your murderous boss and it's like, hey, there's a prophecy and there's like a baby that's gonna be born. What a stupid thing to do.
Do we think Snape knew or did not know that Lily was pregnant?
I hope he didn't know, because if he knew, that's so wild. That's crazy. But how would he not know? I just don't get it. Like, how, like, wouldn't he keep tabs? Or do you think he heard that she married James and he's like, off, I'm out?
I don't know that they have wizarding Facebook.
You're so annoying. Like, you don't think people have word of mouth and like, you don't think the Order members would have been, like the Death Eaters would have known who the Orders are?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he knew that she was pregnant. It's possible.
Why would he? If that happens,
because he might have thought that it was the Longbottoms, right? It could have been two.
Yeah, but Voldemort chooses Harry because he's a half-blood, right? Well,
that's Dumbledore's intimation.
Oh. And we all know Dumbledore's the all-powerful wizard baby, so he has the answers.
So here is the thing. Snape overhears the prophecy. Harry's already born. He's already won. He overhears the prophecy and then meets Snape. Snape meets Dumbledore on the hilltop to like say, can we like, let's warn Lily that they're in danger. And that is August of 80. And they die in October.
Wait, the prophecy says there is a babe born.
Right?
There's going to be a babe born. Oh no, a babe that was born at the end of July. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether or not he thinks Lily's pregnant. He probably knows that she has a son, but he already knows that. Yeah, because that's how he knows that it's her, is because it's the child. And he's like, it's her child. Yeah. Fascinating. I had always thought that that the prophecy happened a year and a half before their death. But no.
It was like a couple months.
Yeah.
They were only in hiding for like 2 months or something.
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, it still poses the question if Snape knew that Lily had a son at the end of July, right?
I think
so. Then he went to Voldemort and he was like,
well, that
go for Longbottom, not Potters. What?
He might not know specifically like all the details around Harry's when Harry was born. That all of these sort of different not monikers, but like criterion exactly mean the Potters. He only hears, like, we know that he hears about it from Voldemort at some point that he's chosen the Potters, but it might not be right. He's in a rush to go and tell Voldemort, but he might not understand that what his information means.
But he also only hears he only hears part of it. And so but also, like, I mean, as we see, there are other options as well. And so he goes to tell Voldemort, here, this is what I heard, this is what I found out. And then later is when he's like, crap, he thinks it's Lily.
Yeah, totes.
Mm.
So he doesn't put that together at all. He thinks it could be anybody, basically. But Voldemort is the one who specifically chooses that it's the Potters, not the Longbottoms, not the whoever else it could be.
Yeah. Fascinating. On to Half-Blood, named after him. What if Snape didn't go by the moniker the Half-Blood Prince in the textbook and made it clear that it was him? What would Harry have done? How would he react?
If Harry opened the book and saw Severus Snape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I think he's much less trustful of it.
Mm-hmm.
Does he read it? Does he, when he first picks it up, he sees the property of the Half-Blood Prince
He sees
first?
it later.
No.
It's only after he wins his prize. So I still think he wins the prize, but then when he sees it's from Snape, I think there's a high likelihood that he doesn't want to touch it. Maybe he goes back to it because of how well it served him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he would just see it in a different lens.
For sure.
Like, I think
he would not use Sectum Semper. I'll tell you that. That's the one thing I do know. Snape marking 4 enemies.
Really?
Absolutely, he would.
No, I don't know. I think he would have, seeing Draco, he would have been like,
I'm going to use what Snape taught me on you. You don't deserve to have an ear.
He'll be like, you'll be fine. He knows the counter curse. He made it.
And he'll use it on me later, but it's George.
He didn't mean to.
He did. He absolutely meant to cut off Harry's ear instead of killing him. It's in The Prince's Tale. He specifically is like,
no.
Yes.
He was trying. No, it wasn't Harry. He was trying to go for another Death Eater.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Sam.
My bad.
Okay.
Gosh, this is the goatee all over again.
Okay.
Sam is a liar.
On the book, I just wanted to mention, I think Harry knows that Snape is a good potions maker.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that all of his recommendations for potions would be fine for him to follow. It would be those like additional notes in the margin about other things, but also I think Harry wouldn't have kept it to himself that he had Snape's
for real.
book.
Yeah.
So he probably would have had it taken away from him a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So maybe he wouldn't have even gotten to Sectum Semper by then.
It makes it sound like a base that he's getting to, like third base of spell making. He wouldn't have even got to Sectum Sempra.
I mean,
Doesn't he also learn Muffliato?
Levicorpus, Langlock.
Honestly, those ones are great.
The
like really
toenail growing one, which I feel like is the best spell to use against a giant.
A toenail growing,
Yeah.
just like digs its root into like the ground.
Trips immediately.
I still no degreasing.
I know, no cleaning spells.
One.
This is why I think Snape for if he was helping Harry and Goblet would have been like, yeah, just stuff some gillyweed down your throat, because that's what he says about the Bezoar. Instead of doing Gopalot's third law of blah 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 blah, he's like, just stuff a Bezoar down it.
Yeah.
You are saying Snape as a potions master can't brew like a little concoction for a shampoo. For himself.
No,
Sorry.
because that's where Harry got his money. Hair potion. It just reminds him of James. We figured it out.
Why does Snape
Wait, Sarah, can you repeat what you said? Wait, can you repeat it?
The Potter's money comes from, was it Sleek Easy's hair potion?
The potion that Hermione uses in Goblet of Fire to sleek back her hair is literally Harry's grandfather's invention. And that's how they make their fortune.
No way.
That's how they make their fortune. So what Sierra's saying is, Sierra, go ahead.
Is that using a hair potion is too reminiscent of James, and so the Snape can't go near it.
It all makes sense.
The irony of them having unruly hair, the Potters, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just don't use their own.
Well, James only does it. James does it purposely because of all the hair product that he has. Because he can.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. What if Snape didn't make the unbreakable vow? I honestly think this does Snape a lot more damage than you would think. Certainly Bella and Narcissa never trust him. But I think that if that gets back to Voldemort, he doesn't stop trusting Snape. I think there's, he's a calculated dude. He knows that, like, unbreakable vow is a serious thing. But I think it erodes the trust between Snape and Voldemort, which is already tenuous at best, in a way that causes distance between Voldemort and Snape, so that Snape can't be as helpful. Not that he is very helpful in his last moments anyway. He's like stationed there to kill Nagini, and then it ends up being the opposite. But I think it erodes trust in a way that puts maybe Snape is being tracked and can't go drop off the sword to Gryffindor. That sort of stuff. Maybe Voldemort is much more likely to kill Snape sooner when he's trying to figure out the wand thing and is feeling mixed feelings about, like, this is my best lieutenant, but no, I gotta kill him. So I think that there's a lot of stuff there that could happen.
I'm just going to accept your answer on that one. I don't have anything else to add.
Moving forward. All right. What if Snape managed to get through to Draco? Shoot, Neha.
I think this is the best case scenario. I think it would have been really nice to see Snape's positive influence on Draco. I think it would have been interesting to see, like, Draco at least, turncoat a little bit, because I think that would make sense in the manner why he didn't, like, identify Harry. And then, because I just think his, like, back and forthness in, like, the 7th book is really annoying. And I think like Draco's kind of set up in The Prince to be, like, a more meatier character, and then he just gets, like, his character is annihilated like after. I think so. So I think, like, Snape having a more, like, positive influence on Draco would have been so great for, I think, like, the story, for the character. I think for, like, a better and more I don't know, like, it would also be interesting if, like, Draco also felt betrayed by Snape in the end, if, like, he was turncoated, but then, like, Snape goes back to Voldemort. And then, yeah, I think that, I don't know, all of that seems so much more interesting to me than just, like, what happens to Draco.
The lack of redemption story.
I have
the lack of Zuko-ness.
Fanfiction. I have literally read a fanfiction where Snape talks Draco into becoming a spy.
And this is why fanfics exist, guys.
Ugh.
Yes, exactly. No, and I agree. Yes, it's amazing, and it's much more interesting for sure. And then you have Draco and Snape having their kind of, like, side thing of, like, feeding each other information and all sorts of stuff, and they can help each other. And
then even in, like, the 7th book, if, like, let's say that if Draco didn't feel like Snape betrayed them or whatever, and they were, like, on the same team, then just them helping Hogwarts, like, in the 7th. In the 7th book, be a little bit more safer would have been, like, cooler, like Malfoy having a Dumbledore's army-esque situation.
Malfoy as head boy.
But see, that would mean that Malfoy and Ginny would get together, and then Ginny would never leave, and Harry would never have his Lily-esque wife, and it just is all terrible.
He doesn't.
No, in my head, Draco gets together with Hermione. So I don't.
Who? Hermione? Who's that?
Hell yeah.
I've never heard of Germani before. I've heard of Drapple. I like Drapple.
Oh, go. Yes.
Oh my God, whatever, Sam. It's just me and Sierra's time to shine.
It's fine.
Go.
Just mutes me for the rest of the podcast. Women, 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 women.
Yeah, but don't you agree, Sam? You have to agree like that.
No,
that
I think that would be a really,
interesting.
really interesting. And like the Draco doesn't. Like, a lot of Draco apologists have this feeling of like Draco's redeemed, and it's like, no, Draco.
He's not, but it would have been great if
Draco
he was.
leaves. Draco leaves. Draco no longer fights, but he doesn't redeem. He's done nothing to help that, and this would be a cool way of doing that.
Yes.
Moving forward, what if Snape didn't feel the need to keep everything secret and allowed Dumbledore to share with Harry why he should be trusted?
This would solve so many problems.
Yeah.
I mean, because the whole issue that Harry has is that he has not received any concrete example or evidence as to why he should trust Snape. It's just Dumbledore saying, well, I trust him, so you should. But Harry has seen adults be fallible before. And he knows that Dumbledore is not infallible. He's seen that. He saw that last year when he thought that staying away from Harry was the best idea. And when he admits to Harry all of this information that he should have told him a long time ago. Like, Harry already doesn't 100% trust Dumbledore's judgment. So Dumbledore saying, I trust him, so you should, is BS.
Counterproductive at best.
Yeah.
The one problem with a lot of these sort of last what ifs that we're coming up to is the Voldemort-Harry Horcrux connection. Mm-hmm. Which is, if Voldemort gets a sign that Severus really, ironclad Severus really is on Harry's team, Snape is dead and that connection is done. Which creates bigger problems for everybody.
But at this point, Snape doesn't know about the connection because this is in some flashback.
Right.
So this is pre the connection. So they don't know that the connection exists. So if Snape allowed for that to happen pre-connection, then there would be no concrete evidence when that connection when that connection is actively happening. And so, like, Voldemort would just be like, oh, Harry trusts Snape and Snape's on my side. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Unless he's able to read Harry's thoughts around, this is why I trust Snape. And then that grows doubt.
But we haven't seen that is the case at all.
Yeah, it's just flashes of what the current present is. That's fascinating.
Exactly.
I also don't know how if Harry would not believe it, but like how much that would change Harry's opinion of Snape if Dumbledore was like, no, he was like in love with your mom. But then like your dad, who's his you know what I mean? Like then he got with her and yeah. But then he felt really guilty because he's kind of like the catalyst as to why your parents died. So like, you know,
it does seem very much a teenage like an older Harry, like 7th book Harry was ready to accept this information. I don't know that 11, 12, 13-year-old Harry would have internalized it in the same way.
Especially after, like, in the 6th book, he's just, like, Sirius died because of Snape. Like, he was not ready to accept, like, Snape in any good light. And also Snape wasn't helping himself either. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that would have really done anything if Harry knew that information.
Sierra, I think if it comes with a softer Snape, it does.
Yeah.
But if Snape's the exact same, and Harry's like, okay, great, like, he liked my mom, so what? It doesn't help me right now.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it has to be, it's a part of that whole, like, version. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, because also Snape wouldn't do that unless he was a softer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true. What if Snape didn't kill Dumbledore? Greyback would have, Bellatrix would have. I mean, Dumbledore still dies, but would the Snape then dies, right?
I also think that, but Snape needs to kill him, and because then the ending like means so much more to us.
Yeah, you're in terms of Snape needs to kill Dumbledore for the narrative to work, in order for us to have that huge turnaround of friend or foe. Because I think most people are thinking he's still friend if he doesn't kill Dumbledore. But that question, and then that great reveal of no, he's actually still friend, only works if Snape kills Dumbledore. But if he
also him being like headmaster too, like I think Voldemort could have just like put in someone else, but I think he needed to
totally 100%. And also, like, if Snape doesn't kill Dumbledore, he gets killed by his unbreakable vow.
Yeah.
If he didn't make a vow, who would kill him?
No, I'm thinking like he makes the vow, and then instead of sacrificing Dumbledore, he sacrifices himself.
Oh, interesting.
Essentially.
So can they swap out places?
Dumbledore's already dying though. That's the only issue with this. But who knows how much exactly time he has left?
He says you've got a year if you're lucky.
Right.
So he's got weeks to live at this point.
I mean, but Dumbledore could, if he set his mind to it, do a lot in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then just succumb or whatever the case may be. And I don't know. I mean, yeah. I feel like he could have prepped Harry better.
Yeah.
And then Harry wouldn't be distracted by the whole Snape of the issue, and there would be like elements that could be removed from the equation, and it would be much more straightforward, and Dumbledore could just straight up say, here's this, here's this, here's this.
It could be much more straightforward.
Here's these memories, watch them when you're ready. Like there's so many things that he could do with just a couple weeks that I think it's unnecessary, including telling them about the Hollows, giving them straight up the Sword of Gryffindor, teaching them about Horcruxes, like a little mini Dumbledore's about to leave the planet boot camp would have been really nice. Yeah, because his little lessons with Harry where he just says, well, do you have the next memory? No, I don't. And then, okay, we'll come back when you do. Like that... Come on.
Advanced defensive magic is something that they could have done too, but just never did. It's fine. It's cool. Dumbledore's really pressed for time. So many things. So it is interesting. This last what if for Half-Blood is, what if Snape fought the Death Eaters? I think the way that unbreakable vow works, the instant that he's not trying to aid Draco, which is one of his promises, he's dead. So, right.
Yeah, but would it be considered aiding Draco, defending him from Death Eaters who are going to be mad that he hasn't killed Dumbledore and he's not following through?
Oh, interesting. So not fighting them as soon as they get into the hallways, but once he reaches the upstairs and is like can justify, let's make sure Draco can do this, but we're gonna get these Death Eaters out of the way. So not so much fight as like kind of what they intimate that Snape does in Deathly Hallows Part 2, where he blocks that curse and it hits both the Caro brother and sister behind him in the movie. Mm-hmm. So, okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. But I think at that point, Snape still has to kill Dumbledore in that moment because of the unbreakable vow.
Interesting. Okay.
Last, but definitely not least, because these are some heavy-hitting questions. Deathly Hallows, parts 1 and 2, because we're a book podcast, not a movie podcast. What if Snape picked up where Dumbledore left off and kept helping the trio other than that instance? I mean, I still think Voldemort's connection with Harry prevents him from doing this, but I like the idea of him communicating with Phineas and Nigellus directly.
Yes.
With Hermione and Ron and Harry. That sounds great.
Yes. Phineas Nigellus essentially being a messenger between them would be very helpful.
And Phineas' worst nightmare.
That instance being the Sword of Gryffindor, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's more opportunities for Snape to help them, and he's just not really taking it. I mean...
He's busy. The Caros are trying to take over Hogwarts.
Yeah, and what is he really doing?
Making sure they can't access...
outwardly murder students.
Making sure they don't fully take over Hogwarts.
It does seem like he has some sort of leash on them.
Yeah.
He's allowing students to be told to torture other students for detention.
But not kill.
And you know what?
Do you know how many broken souls are in this place already? Like, all these people having to torture their own classmates.
I like to think that he sets up avenues for Ginny and Neville to help.
Yeah. I think that
he has to know that the DA's there.
Yeah. I think that he implicitly helps with the resistance and with the lack of death that happens at his school. I think that it's a big win that the population of Hogwarts ends up deathless up until the battle. Like, that is Snape's kind of
that's fair
job at the moment, which is, roll out Voldemort's vision of education, but also keep everybody alive. The fact that Ginny is alive is actually a pretty cool thing, I think. The fact that Neville is alive is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that is my one Snape apologist moment. I think he does a good job as headmaster, given the set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't even have to advocate for him, though. Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome. What can I say except copyright infringement? Sorry.
Yes. What if Snape, though, turns against the Carrows and shows himself to basically be the spy that he is as soon as the battle begins, instead of running away?
I like the idea of Snape being like, oh no, they died. How did it happen? I don't know.
Exactly. I like the idea that he's just like, oh my goodness. Well, there was all these people there and spells just started. And there's just really no way to tell.
No way to know.
There's just no way to know. I mean, I guess the downside to that plan is, I guess it depends. Can he get to the Carrows and take them out before everybody ends up in the Great Hall? If he can get away with it. If he can't and he has to do something in front of everybody, then he's got all the Slytherin kids who can report to their parents immediately. But if Snape is just like, I'm done being a spy, here I am, like, I've been on your side the whole time, let's go fight, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because that would be an excellent way for him to show that he is not the Death Eater that they all think he is. He's taking two of them out and he's like, let's go. Trust would be difficult.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard for people to like
trust him.
Trust what was going on. He pulls Dumbledore's portrait down off the wall and brings it with him. And be like, tell him.
Listen.
Tell them all.
Yeah, I also think that it still complies with like Dumbledore being like, there's going to be a time where like Voldemort really wants to snake around him. Like that's when you make sure you say da 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 da. Like it still complies with that. I also can imagine him being like, remember the dough? That was me.
He could just do his Patronus.
I was the dough all along. It was me. That is a reference to an old Nickelodeon show called Invader Zim.
Bacon in the soup.
Sierra and I used to do Gur quotes from Invader Zim all the time, and there's a very funny scene where Gur pops out of a turkey and Zim's like, "Oh, there you are," and he's like, "It was me. I was the turkey all along." And Zim's like, "Uh-huh," and then he pauses and he's like, "No, it was me." So that's what that reference is. I was the dough all along.
That's so funny.
All right. Next one. What if Snape was able to properly explain to Voldemort the passage of the Elder Wand? He would be a dunce. I'll tell you what. He'd be the stupidest boy in the world. No, don't kill me. kill Draco.
I think it would be very like self-serving, which he at this point I guess is not, but I just think it would be really funny just being like, it wasn't me, I don't know,
it wasn't me all along. It was not me all along. I was not the turkey in this case.
I was not. There definitely would be no awkward hug for Draco.
No. Just death. Draco, come here. Yes? Death.
Does he hug him in the book?
No. That's just a movie reference.
No, that was pure movieism.
One take.
Awkwardness.
One take that they did that on. 20 different shots. One take. He hugs him.
And they cut to that one. So weird.
Are you doing the Voldemort laugh noise?
Yeah, it's just me laugh like that.
Yeah.
And then when he says like, Avada Kedavra.
Avada Kedavra. I think that would be self-serving and selfish, and it would end up in the murder of a 17-year-old blonde English boy.
What is a big thing for me is that Dumbledore tells Snape, like, okay, I need you to do this thing. This is very important. There's going to be a time where Voldemort is like really paranoid and he wants Nagini with him at all time. This is when you have to tell Harry that he needs to go, you know? And Snape is like, okay. And so he still has a very important thing to do. I just don't understand the way he like gambles, like, oh, so Harry's going to walk in and like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
this
like
is kind of a what if Harry doesn't, but like, what if Harry doesn't coincidentally arrive when Snape is dying and happens to doesn't just like see Snape die and then go, oh, that sucks, and then walk away.
That's great. All good. Down with Snape. See you later.
Bye. Like, what person who's hiding around a corner from the evil man trying to find and kill them waits until he leaves the room after immediately murdering somebody and then just like walks into that room? Like,
you're gonna die?
Are
you dying?
Like,
you're gonna die right now, Snape? Let me see this happen.
Like, he's just he's putting a lot of trust in the fact that Voldemort isn't like, oh, I forgot my turn around and walk back.
I forgot my snake. Hold on.
Come, Nagini.
Oh my God, it's Harry. Or like the fact that Snape's not, he's like, Snape could still be a double agent. What if Snape's like, hey, Avada Kedavra with his last breath? Like,
yeah. Okay.
You're so right.
Why couldn't, here's an idea. Snape sends with the sword the memories with a note explaining the same thing he was told. When you see Voldemort keeping Nagini close,
XOXO Gossip Girl.
In case Voldemort peeks in and is like, oh my God, I have to kill Harry in order to, if I kill Harry, I'm going to die.
Wait, what?
What if Voldemort peeks into his mind and is like, oh, Harry's got a Horcrux in him. Got it. Thanks, Dumbledore, for telling Snape who told Harry. And now I've got time.
No, that's why I said he still has to wait. He has the memories and he's got to hold on to them.
I see. Like a little bottle, like Emperor's New Groove style, where you just hand it over.
Exactly.
It's like a time limit. A timer. Yeah. Okay, I don't understand. I feel like it kind of confuses me that, okay, fifth book, Voldemort is like into his mind and like whatever. Sixth book, Dumbledore is like, no, he's not going to do that because Voldemort took a peek, like was a peek into his mind and like,
oh my God, I can't handle the love.
So like, which one is it? I don't get it.
It's that Voldemort has a breakdown every once in a while where they share because one person's emotions is really, really high.
Yeah, but it seems to only go in one direction. It's only one direction.
Because Harry is an emotionless.
So it's when Voldemort lowers his occlumency.
Blocking. So, like, it shouldn't matter what Harry does and sees and everything because...
I think the chance, though, is too great, is what I'm saying. that it's risky.
I don't think anybody's thinking that, though.
I think Dumbledore's thinking that.
I don't think so.
And who's he? No, I'm kidding.
He's the all-powerful wizard baby.
That was so embarrassing.
All-powerful wizard baby Dumbledore. I honestly thought you were joking, Neha, and then you were like, wait, that's...
No, I literally was. I was like, all-powerful wizard.
And then we were like,
what's the B stand for?
Brian.
I mean, to be fair, baby is just as plausible as Brian.
Baby would make more sense.
Percival Wulfric. Baby Dumbledore.
But baby spelled like something like weird, like baby spelled weird.
B-B-I-E. Babby. Wait.
Babby.
B-A-B-I-E.
Barbie Dumbledore.
I gotta stop laughing.
Oh my gosh, it's so close to midnight on a weekday.
We're almost done.
1 a.m.
All right. We have so few questions left. All right, the big hitters. Welcome to the Prince's Tale, where we ask the biggest questions in the world. What if Snape managed to stay friends with Lily?
I think Snape would have to not love the dark arts in order for Lily to even entertain that. You know, but I think he loves the dark arts so much, because
it gives him a sense of power.
I don't know. He likes the dark. I don't know if it's the dark arts or if it's because he's into the Death Eaters, and he wouldn't be into the Death Eaters if he had if James wasn't such a dick with the Marauders and just excommunicated him, and he needed to be in a group where he felt like welcomed and, part of something greater that represented strength to him.
I think that Snape managing to stay friends with Lily would result in him not going full. Well, okay. One of two things. Either he doesn't become a Death Eater, period. He's into the dark arts, but I think that if he manages to balance that with his friendship with Lily, because what she's really upset about is she doesn't like his other friends. So if he really wants to keep her around, he'd ditch them, basically. So he might be interested in the dark arts, and they might be interesting to him, and he might feel like the knowledge is important, or the power that he feels from it is important, or something like that. But I think that she could temper that in him. But it's when he's also surrounded by 10 future Death Eaters that is the problem. So I think he either doesn't become a Death Eater, or he does become a Death Eater, but becomes a spy right off the bat. And she knows about it.
I think it only works that he wouldn't be a Death Eater if she stayed friends with him, but I think if they were together. I think if he had the reciprocated love that from Lily, I think that would be powerful enough. I don't think the friendship, clearly it wasn't powerful enough.
Well, okay, so if Snape doesn't burn his bridge with Lily, even if... So Snape doesn't burn his bridge with Lily. They remain friends. Not even, together, but friends. Does she still end up with James?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's why I think Snape would still continue to be a Death Eater, because he'll see James and Lily kiss, and he'll be like, that'll do it. Where's Voldemort?
I think Snape doesn't become a Death Eater necessarily just because he loves the dark arts. I think he's looking for a sense of power and control, right? Especially with being bullied. Yeah. He then trains himself to be powerful enough in an actual fight where he could mess somebody up. Then the Death Eaters, his friends Lucius and Rodolphus and whoever else he's hanging out with, they give him a sense of companionship. And he doubles down on that sense of companionship after he and Lily have their friend breakup. And I think that it's possible that he doesn't become a Death Eater because if he's getting a sense of companionship from Lily and he's able to separate out, he might be a very lonely guy, but I truly believe that like you get opportunities to fill holes in life. So if a vacuum is created by a lack of friendship, right? There's a lack of friendship with Lily. It fills itself with Death Eaters. But if it goes in the opposite direction, I think there's a really good opportunity here that maybe he's not going to be in the Order of the Phoenix. But I think there's a possibility that he doesn't become a Death Eater. And if he doesn't become a Death Eater, which is another one of our what ifs, I think that Dumbledore's at a severe disadvantage in the end of the war, the end of the First War, and in the entire second half.
But then, like, what about the prophecy? Like, then Snape, if he's not a Death Eater, like, would he have heard the prophecy and the whole thing, you know?
Right. That goes back to that
If he's not
question.
a Death Eater, he doesn't hear the prophecy because he's not lurking around Dumbledore. And he wouldn't...
kill Harry?
Potentially, Voldemort wouldn't hear about the prophecy, period, and wouldn't know to act on it.
And that leaves the First War going a lot longer.
True.
And because Dumbledore doesn't really get an inclination as to Voldemort being with Horcruxes until that night where Voldemort survives being an attempted killing. Like, survives his killing curse. And so I don't know how much longer it takes Dumbledore to complete the puzzle of Horcruxes.
I mean, I think Chamber of Secrets with the
But does
diary.
that even happen? If Voldemort doesn't try and kill...
If Lucius doesn't put the diary...
in Ginny's cauldron.
In
Right,
Ginny's little
because-
cauldron.
Well, but he... you have to imagine Lucius already has the diary.
Yeah. He does. We know that.
I still... Which I think he's a petty man. He would still do that just to spite his...
I don't think he does it while Voldemort's in full power, though, right? He would be too scared of Voldemort's reaction.
No, but this is 10 years where anybody could, the fight may wear on, but there's still, like, that's 10 years where someone could get close to Voldemort and destroy him enough that he would not be able to be in his body anymore, and he'd have to rely on the Horcruxes.
Isn't Regulus pick it up? Isn't Regulus,
Oh yeah, Regulus knows
About
that
the
it's
Horcruxes.
that he has Horcruxes.
But-
Yeah.
So there's all these questions around, like, okay, so Harry's not a parcel mouth if Voldemort doesn't go to attack him. So then is anybody figuring out Chamber of Secrets without a parcel mouth? I mean, people should. Like, Dumbledore should have figured out that. Like, no, people should know that there's a basilisk and these huge ass pipes of Hogwarts just slithering around. But Dumbledore takes all this time after Voldemort's demise to find out a lot of information about him. That's where he goes and gets the Hepzebiah Smith memories and goes and meets Morgan. But does he have time to go do that while everybody's still alive? Or do those memories get lost? And so does he get a little bit more clueless into what artifacts might be for Valdi's little soul bits?
Interesting. Or is the whole manner of the prophecy that someone has to overhear it, and then there's just somebody else that takes the place of Snape?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question.
Which, in that case, it could be that based on that information and who brings it to him, Voldemort decides that it's Neville.
Yeah. But it's also possible that Voldemort, because Snape doesn't go to Dumbledore, it's possible that Voldemort is able to get to James and Lily while they're out and about, and therefore kill both of them before he can even get to Harry, meaning that Lily's not able to put that protection up.
True. So Snape is vital, is what we're saying.
Turns out.
Snape becoming a Death Eater is a vital plot point.
Good. Okay, so we're really glad that Snape had a really, really awful upbringing, was bullied. Actually, you know what? I'm Joy Neha. I am now pro-bullying.
Team bullying.
Team bullying. Here we go.
If you take anything away from this podcast, it's bring bullying back.
What if Snape bring bullying?
Bring bullying back. That's the title of the episode, folks.
Oh god.
Okay. So last question, y'all. We have this quote from Dumbledore. "You are a braver man by far than Igor Karkaroff," Dumbledore says to Snape. "You know, I sometimes think we sort too soon. Leading us to the last what if. Neha Khan, read it out.
What if Snape was sorted in Gryffindor? And first of all, I just want to say I hate that quote because as a Slytherin, we can't have one person that ends up being good. I hate that. And even the one person that ends up good, like we don't even find out he's good until the last couple of chapters. What is that?
And then Rowling goes in to use that quote to explain why Peter Pettigrew is in Gryffindor. She specifically quotes it saying, sometimes we sort too soon, as Dumbledore once said.
It's like, shut up, man. And I just feel like if we are working in the confines of her little rat brain, if Snape was sorted into Gryffindor, then that just means that he wouldn't have obviously ever been a Death Eater. I also think him and Lily would have gotten together from the get-go.
What type of getting together? We just talking smoosh and booties? We talking full-on marriage? We talking...
I think...
I think Lily's always Snape's mistress, or the other way around, where Snape and her are doing on the side where they're married to James. What type of together are we talking about?
I think because I think Lily did like Snape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lily did like Snape. So if he was in Gryffindor, I think they would have gotten together. And because she doesn't even like James until the 7th year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think James introduces Snape to his dad's hair products?
I think because Snape never makes Sectum Sempra, he can wash his hair because
the universe
drenched in.
Do you think Snape becomes a marauder?
Okay, I was just gonna say, you think Peter's out and Snape's in?
Yeah, for sure.
But I still think James and Sirius would butt heads because of Lily. But I think
James and Snape?
That doesn't mean that he can't be part. Yeah, what did I say?
Serious.
So sorry.
It's late.
Yeah, I think they could have butted heads, but I mean,
I think in the brotherly, Sirius and James do. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're already friends and you have that friendship background, then you're less likely to have somebody come between you.
Yeah.
Especially since Snape has known Lily a lot longer.
Yeah. That's why I think James would respect the hey, she's like my sister, no way. If anybody in this friend group is going to go after her, it's going to be me. I've known her the longest.
Yeah.
Just a little bro code there.
Wait, what do you mean my sister? What?
So James would feel like Lily's his sister? Is that what you're saying?
No. I think Snape would guard off Lily and make her untouchable. In various different phrases throughout their relationship with each other. So there's all sorts of things that Snape could say, hey, she's like my sister, or she's untouchable, she's the one person you can't go after, that sort of stuff. That they would bro code over that.
There's only one person who can sleep with my sister.
And it's me, unless you look like Nymphadora, unless you're a metamorph Margus, and then...
Wait, so then would Snape be an animagus?
Yeah, I think so.
If he was a marauder.
But would he be a doe? Because your Patronus and your animagus match up.
So would you be...
But
if you're a cisgendered male and you identify as a male, could you transform into the opposite sex?
We don't know. We just know that his Patronus is a doe, and that. So.
So
there's a couple different.
But doesn't it turn into a doe after he betrays?
So that's Lucia and I are getting.
It's a doe because James is a stag. So James which is a weird roundabout, but James is a stag, so Lily is a doe, so Severus is also a doe.
Oh.
Which is weird that the way Snape's brain interprets everything is we have no idea if Lily's Patronus is actually a doe. I don't think that's textually written anywhere. But it represents her, but only from a patriarchal viewpoint. So at some point, Snape knows or finds out or something along those lines that James is a stag or his Patronus is a stag or something. And so that interprets that then therefore Lily is a doe, but only because of this patriarchal idea.
I think I see what you're saying, but I think if it was more into the toxic patriarchy side, then he would be the stag, because then his pairs with.
I know. I don't think it's necessarily toxic patriarchy. I just think it's really interesting that the way in which it's interpreted is that she's got to be the doe because he's the stag. Therefore, my Patronus now represents her as the doe. Mm-hmm. But also, we don't know what his original Patronus was, because it seems like it's only due to the emotional shock. And Rowling says in the Animagus thing, there's no confirmed thing of someone being an Animagus and then having their Patronus change, and then therefore would that mean that their Animagus would change or not? She says we just don't know.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So like two things on that. Lily's Patronus is a doe. Okay. Rowling said,
but it's not in text. It's just like in the category of Dumbledore's gay.
Yeah. I think it's a more logical.
Oh, for sure. Like there's a little bit more textual evidence to it.
But yeah. But it's also, it makes sense that it's a doe because Tonks's Patronus changes from a rabbit to a wolf when she falls for Lupin. So it changes to a wolf, not whatever a wolf companion would be. Yeah. Like it changes to him, basically, which his Patronus, because like, I wouldn't be surprised if Patronuses could be people, it was literally Lily.
Yeah.
Like it's changing into her, like whatever her essence is, which I think is the same, like your Patronus is kind of like your essence, essentially. Absolutely. So like that's why Harry's is also a stag.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, everybody's like Patronus makes sense for their character and like who they are. And also because I think that's the whole reason why Patronuses, I'm branching out a little bit, but like Patronuses drive off Dementors because they're representative of your soul. And so it's like the like inverse essentially of what the Dementors are looking for.
So anyways, Snape becomes Gryffindor. It means Harry's dad is Snape and the world goes into darkness because it's vital that Snape becomes a Death Eater.
Great.
And then Voldemort hears the prophecy from somebody and kills Snape.
And then Lily.
And then James, is James
the Death Eater?
The Snape
just like Cedric becomes the Death Eater because in Cursed Child.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no.
Well, I got a Cursed Child reference in.
James wouldn't, for sure.
Okay. That was a long podcast.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. We are now going to do more of the podcast.
Yes. Okay. So now that we've gone through just so much Snape, we have our 7 ingredients of today's special.
You guessed it. It's Snape.
It's about Snape. Who knew? This is Sierra's personal 7 most infuriating Snape moments.
Drum roll and go. Number 7.
Yes. All right. Coming in at number 7, goading Sirius at Grimmauld
Don't
Place.
You can say a thing, Neha. It's infuriating and it's not cathartic at all.
Wham. Just kidding.
Number 6 is calling Lily a mudblood in anger.
That's crazy that it's that low.
Okay, hold on.
This is infuriating, not... This is like, how personally infuriated do I get reading these moments?
Yeah. I completely get it. I would also like to say she was like trying not to laugh when she saw his like underpants. Mm-hmm. So his ego was. It
was a little rough moment.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that he gets to call her a slur.
You would say that
he does not
that this hate speech was more love speech, Neha? Is that what you're saying?
Shut up.
Bring bullying back. Coming in at number 5, teasing Harry his first day and Hermione about her appearance. I kind of combine those two, which is just kind of a general teasing of the trio. Number 4, trying to out Lupin as a werewolf.
Why is trying in there? He doesn't try. He's fully outs him.
No. I know he does at the end, but trying via the assignment.
Got it.
Specifically that.
So that was
category.
more infuriating than actually outing Lupin.
Yeah, but I like to remind the audience that Lupin does want to be a deadbeat dad, so I don't know.
Oh my God.
Perspective.
Bring bullying back. Coming in at number 3, not listening to the Shrieking Shack explanation and only caring about his revenge. Man, does that get infuriating. I hate it so much.
I also will say, Sierra, I read this as not listening to the Sorcerer's Stone explanation.
That's exactly what
What? Sorcerer's Stone?
I was like, don't make the same mistake twice now.
Don't do it.
Number 2, not caring about James and Harry dying.
Meh.
Only care about Lily. Don't care about her family, her progeny, a part of her. Nothing? No?
I will say it was infuriating because when Dumbledore is telling him, doesn't he say that, he reacted because there was like a fly buzzing like around him, and he was more irritated by that.
He's not even a fully sane person at this point. Okay. And the number 1 most infuriating moment, according to Sierra, is bullying Neville, specifically making Neville feed his potion to Trevor at the end of class.
It's like his worst moment as a teacher. Not as a person, but his worst moment as a teacher, for sure.
For sure. And this was infuriating, not the horrible things that he's done. He's done plenty. But these were the infuriating moments for me to read. And bonus, the best Snape moment.
I will say an honorable mention in this category goes to the absolute trolling of Dolores Jane Umbridge that he does. And you did not get the post Defense Against the Dark Arts? Obviously.
But the very best Snape moment, just the man, he said. The very man. A girl has been snatched by the monster, Lockhart, taken into the Chamber of Secrets itself. Your moment has come at last. I certainly remember you were saying you were sorry you hadn't had a crack at the monster before Hagrid was arrested. Didn't you say that the whole affair had been bungled and you should have been given free reign from the first?
It's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment.
It's a beautiful, beautiful moment.
And on that wonderful, glorious moment that Severus Snape gave us, we are going to bid adieu to our glorious guest, Miss Neha Khan, who we thank for joining us in tonight's very late excursion at the Three Broomsticks. Madame Osmerta is banging for us to get out of here, leave the pub, let her go to bed.
Sorry, Rosie.
But thanks so much, Neha, for being here.
You and your high-heeled fluffy slippers will have to wait.
High-heeled fluffy slippers! Oh my god. Anyways, Neha, thank you so much for being here. You were great. It was great to have you. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for dealing with my mess.
You were a glorious mess. A very fun mess. One of the best messes we've had. Where should we follow you? Do you have anything you would like to plug before you go?
Yeah, I have a new podcast. It's called Hermione Diaries, where me and my best friend yap about Hermione, Draco, and Hermione, the ship that could have been, but wasn't. It's a silly, goofy time. I'm really excited about it, and we have 2 episodes out, and it should be up and running with our Instagram at Hermione Diaries. And yeah, please check me out there.
Y'all, what's really cool about this is it's not just sex. It's actually a safe for work podcast.
Yeah, it's just 2 Muslim girlies. We can't all talk about sex. I think we'd die. I don't think it's in us to just talk about sex. Okay. Sam, why are you looking at me like that? You're the one that brings it up every single time.
All fan fictions is just sex.
No, they're not. Stop. Sam.
Someday
please.
I will tell you all about my first excursion into a fan fiction and how I learned much as a 9-year-old.
And that's not my fault. is what I'm saying.
No, it is not. I'm sorry that you couldn't sort by the correct rating in MuggleNet fanfiction, and you chose professors. That was on you. I did that one on purpose and learned many things, but I was fully aware of what I was doing.
Sam, this is more about you than it does about fanfic.
Well, and also a huge thanks again to Carolina Oberlander, who bought us this round of drinks at the Three Broomsticks. It definitely kept us awake, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yay. That is awesome. If you, dear listener, would like to buy us the next round, head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks. That is the numeral 3 to sign up. Along with that, you can also help by rating and reviewing us. And if you like our show, don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is very, very helpful. We always love to see new listeners coming in and see those connections.
Hello. We have social media. You can find us on Twitter, aka X. The TikTok is back up and running. You can find us on TikTok. If you'd like to interact and see me make some personal little videos answering questions of yours, you can go to TikTok and find the Three Broomsticks Pod. Right on there, you'll see my face, my glorious face, my bearded face. You'll meet my giant pygmy puff stuffed animal from Harry Potter World.
Yeah,
she is pink and her name is Fluffinutta.
I love it.
We are also on Instagram and Facebook. Our assorted handles and our email address can be found in the episode description or on our website, which is threebroomstickspod.com. That's with the 3 spelled out. Any essays that we mentioned, which were none, are there. You can submit a topic. We are coming close to our all hands on deck meeting where we go over next year's schedule. So if you want to submit a topic, please submit it there. Let us know your thoughts on the podcast. Write us, email us, comment on the episodes. We'd love to hear from you. It's my personal challenge that if you listen to this very long episode, that you go and you comment and we will interact with you absolutely.
Next time we meet at the Three Broomsticks, we will be discussing Hogwarts Legacy. I know we put it off for one more episode. There was some scheduling conflicts, but it is the topic for the next episode. Don't you fret, dear listeners. We will be talking about Hogwarts Legacy. And with that, I have been Sierra.
I have been Sam, am currently Sam, and in the future will be Sam. Thank you all for listening. We will see you the next time we are in the Three Broomsticks.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here. Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here. Of the sweet old butterbeer.
This episode of The Three Broomsticks was edited by Patrick Musilek. The theme song was written and performed by the Faithful Sidekicks. Make sure to check them out at thefaithfulsidekicks.com.
Okay, so what we're going to do is called the clap. We will clap on the imaginary fourth beat, and we're going to do it twice because we always screw this up. But essentially, Sierra's going to count us down because Sierra's mic doesn't pick up a clap to save her life. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, and then on the fourth beat, clap. You and I, Sierra will go clap next to her mic, and that'll be that. So, Sierra, go ahead.
All right. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Wait, I literally wasn't paying attention to anything you were saying. I'm not going to lie to you. Can you just repeat everything you said? I was blacking out.
What does that remind me of? That's like yeah, I caught everything. But just in case, say it all again. I wasn't paying attention.
I'm so sorry. Okay, wait. Sarah, just clap and then reclap. Sam, stop. I'm really sorry. This is really bad. I'm just nervous.
It's totally fine. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry. Oh, man, that really got me now.
Stop, Sam. Get it together right now. You're embarrassing me. And I already embarrassed myself enough.
Okay, so we're gonna count down 1, 2, 3, and on the imaginary fourth beat, you're gonna clap.
Okay.
It was just the like wide-eyed fear, plus the late clap, and then being like, "Wait, run it back! I didn't hear a thing."
Sam, stop!
Okay, I'm so sorry, Neha. Okay. All right, are you crying because I made fun of you too much? Or,
I'm just embarrassed. These are embarrassed tears.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm so ready. Okay, cool. Sorry to make you cry on the podcast.
Fine.
It was a Lego movie quote that I was thinking of, by the way.
What was the quote?
Great. I think I got it. But just in case, tell me the whole thing again. I wasn't listening. when he's doing the whole like master builder explanation.
Yeah, that's right. Morgan Freeman's character.
To take the relic. And it's like this whole thing. And he's like, okay, you ready? And he's like, great. I think I got it. But just in case, tell me the whole thing again. I wasn't listening.
Okay.
Like, no.
Oh, all right. Neha, do you feel like you understand the instructions?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sierra, count us down, and I'll try not to cry the entire... Oh, I need my glasses on. Where did I put them? Oh, God.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay, I found them.
Just a blind bat.
Okay, so ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3.